Welcome, everybody. If you're watching this, that means you're either live in the Zoom room or you're watching the video recording of Saturday Night Alive for the Global Peace Tribe, recorded on December 5th, 2020, that magical, incredible year. And who knows, some of you are watching this live right now. Maybe some of you are watching this 2, 3, 5 years from now. That's kind of the amazing thing about it all. But for those of you that are watching live, welcome. And please put into the chat box your name and your geographic location. It's really fun to see friends coming in from all over the world now. It's been pretty amazing how global this show has become. You know, it started as a local San Francisco Bay Area fundraiser that Deborah and I did. And people really liked it. The pandemic was just starting. People said, wow, this is a really cool thing on a Saturday night. Have some music, have some speakers. Can you do it again? We said, okay. And then we started attaching certain themes. So there was a big global meditation, then there was Earth Day, then there was Easter. So we started coming with themes, bringing in speakers around those themes, and it grew. And then we started getting big speakers like Reverend Michael and Deepak Chopra and Marianne Williamson, and we really grew nationally then. And then when Unify started carrying us every Saturday night, we really went global. And now we reach tens of thousands of people each week. So it's been really amazing to watch it organically grow. And it's all growing because of you. I want to say that we are the Global Peace Tribe. And if you're watching this, if you're listening, you're an important part of this amazing community coming together. We really like to use the analogy of the imaginal cells, that when the old caterpillar is dying, just as I think many of us perceive that the old unsustainable paradigm is dying, the butterfly cells find each other and they come together, and a butterfly is created out of the remains of the caterpillar. And likewise, we like to think that every single one of us is an important cell, an important butterfly cell in the new world that we're creating. And what's interesting about tonight's show is we're going to be learning about the ancient secrets. And there's so much we can learn about ancient mystery, ancient history, that helps us to understand maybe what's happening today. I know that, for example, Trisha McCannon, one of our speakers, will be talking about Atlantis and the cycles of history on our planet. And we have several amazing speakers. Really excited that they're all with us. We also have great musicians, Wah and iStar, and we even have a magician. First time with us, but he's great. So we're looking forward to you meeting him. So for our early Zoom room treat, and we really appreciate the 35 people that have come in early. Thank you for joining us. And I know that we're gonna have another 100 or 200 join between now and 6 o'clock. But I get to bring on, for the third time, he's been on our show now. This is from iStar Music. This is Truth I. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Hey, Scott. So good to see you tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Coming from Asheville, North Carolina, definitely a hub of a lot of butterflies are in Asheville. A lot of our butterfly cell friends are out there.
Indeed, so, absolutely. From the ancient mountains of Appalachia.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So you are going to introduce, I guess, William Henry has been a mentor for you. Tell us a little bit about your relationship to William.
Well, I just spoke with William and met him for the first time yesterday. I only found out that this was going to happen just really this past week. And I'm almost beside myself that I get to have a chat with him like this. I was introduced to his work probably about 14, 15 years ago, and I had had a big spiritual awakening. I had been introduced to ley lines and begun to become a sensitive and, understand how to feel the energy of a place. And I think, do you remember when Netflix used to send out DVDs? I found him on Netflix and I got several of his DVDs sent, and it was just such fertilizer for my garden of knowledge and understanding. So very excited.
Well, I'm looking forward to listening. I'm going to actually, to be honest, I'm going to have a little dinner while you two chat. And
Yeah.
welcome everybody in our Zoom room. Welcome Barbara from Southern California, um, and John from Norfolk. Thank you for being the first one to tell us where you're from. Connie and Andrew from Loveland, Colorado. Welcome everybody, and please continue to tell us where you're coming from. It's always nice to hear that. And I'm going to turn it over to William and Truth. Take it away, guys.
All right. Well, my friends that are seeing this in the United States and around the world, it is such a pleasure to get to introduce internationally renowned author and researcher, and of course, a frequent contributor and star of Ancient Aliens. This is Mr. William Henry. And William, you're in Nashville, I'm in Asheville, so we're not that far away. It's a pleasure to have you on tonight. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you for having me, and thank you everybody for joining us this evening.
Awesome. Well, I've spent all week thinking to myself, what am I even going to ask you? I have 1,000 questions.
Uh-huh.
And perhaps maybe just initially, I would love to know, what was it for you that got you started in this direction of being drawn to sacred sites and the ancient world, and then of course the spiritual world and ascension teachings, and all of that, which was in me also, and I'm so curious how
Right.
that bloomed in you.
Well, I guess I would have to go back to my childhood, early teen years. My father was a lawyer, kind of a maverick lawyer, always working with people that were trying to do wacky things like mine gold from seawater, or take raw sewage and treat it with sound and turn it into pure water, things like that. And one of these guys, that they were all PhDs from major universities and real legit research. But one of these guys was, this is in the mid 70s. I was 14 years old, and plops down a copy of Eric von Daniken's Chariots of the Gods.
Uh-huh.
And that starts it. I mean, I had this kind of youth where, again, my father was bringing all these very intriguing people into our home. He worked at home. And so I was always serving coffee to these guys, listening to the conversations. But then it was Chariots of the Gods that got me started. And then in college, I moved into kind of the esoteric Christian mysteries with Holy Blood, Holy Grail, which was brand new at that time. This is 38 years ago, a long time ago. And I just kept pulling on the string. And then as far as the sacred mysteries and sacred sites, I live in Nashville, as you mentioned, and I just really started looking around my own backyard. I mean, people don't really appreciate the ancient history of America like they should. I mean, especially here in Nashville, we don't recognize that, hey, where we live has a 1,000 years of history before the Europeans got here.
Sure.
And that aspect of our story in America is so fascinating, and it ultimately then takes you into other cultures and civilizations.
Absolutely. And so did you begin to write, or did you start to travel and visit these sites, or what was it, the process?
Yeah, so I started just like most people that are reading books. Oh, that's interesting, I'll make a note about that. And pretty soon I'm filling up notebooks, and I'm realizing, well, wait a minute, there's some dots here that need to be connected that haven't been connected before. And so that ended up being my first book. Well, Peacemaker and the Key of Life, 1996, was my first book in alternate history. I had been writing children's books before that. I had written a story called Junior Cosmic Egg, about a cosmic egg named Junior who wanted to grow up to become his own universe. And I was actually out on the Whole Life Expo circuit talking about kids in the new consciousness in 1990, excuse me. So it was kind of early on. And talking about kids and their interactions with angels and extraterrestrials. And that was my passion for a long time. And then I got into the Zecharia Sitchin kind of line of work, and that just kind of blew my mind open even more. And so I rededicated myself more to the alternative history or mystical history kind of area. And I published my first book, The Peacemaker and the Key of Life, in 1996, which was really a collection of my early research about ancient mysteries and artifacts, and just kept going from there.
Wow. So what was the first sacred site that you visited, and what was your experience?
Well, I would have to say it must have been the Great Pyramids. Actually, I take that back. It's southern France,
Mm,
in the Cathar country, in the Languedoc.
absolutely.
I would consider that a sacred site as well. So I first visited there 1997.
Mm,
And that was just, gosh, to put my boots on the ground and in this area where I had read so much about the Cathars of southern France and their sacred mysteries, and Rennes-le-Château, this whole story about this village in southern France that is a ground zero for the mysteries in southern France. To actually walk these places is it's truly profound. I mean, as you know, it's, and many readers know, it's one thing to read about it in your home. It's another story to actually walk these trails and to breathe the air and see the sights and gain that perspective. So really, it was southern France first, and then on to Egypt from there, the Giza Plateau.
wow.
Yeah.
I have actually never been to Giza in this body. It has always been a dream of mine. What was it like when having, discovered this passion and having been drawn there, especially after going to Rennes-le-Château and
Right.
southern France, when you finally got to the pyramids and you got close to them, what did you feel in your body?
Well, it was totally surreal. I mean, first you're like, gosh, am I really here? I mean, you just have to check and double check. And it's overwhelming. I mean, the sense of energy there, the power, the connection that you're making, and the realization that you're standing in front of a building that's been there probably what, 50,000 years. And that is for me, I instantly recognized, okay, this is the real world. The pyramids have been here. All of history revolves around Egypt and the pyramids and these ancient civilizations. And to actually come face to face with it is quite a personal revelation. And it's also just a moment where you realize, gosh, this is the real deal here. This is where it all started. And ultimately, this is the place, of the repository of all of the answers that we all seek.
Wow, indeed. I actually had a dream when I was 12 years old that I was there at the pyramids.
Mhm.
I was across, like in my dream, the river was right in front of the pyramids,
Wow.
and and I was looking across the river, and I actually saw there was a light in the sky, like something was in the sky, and then it actually exploded and fell to earth. And so this happened when I was 12. I thought it was a dream. About 10 years later, I was sitting in an Egyptology class in college, my last semester of college. And when the professor put a slide up on the screen that was the same angle of the pyramids, and I saw it, and suddenly it connected the dots, and I was like, oh my gosh. So for me, the Great Pyramid was the point of departure to really diving in, because after that I was, there had been a lot of interest in childhood as well for me. I started
Right.
in, researching UFOs when I was 7, and
Wow.
it was well, they had come and talked to me before that, so I was like, man, I got to figure out who's on the phone here. So um so the Great Pyramid it's, I think, still perhaps the most mysterious, incredible thing on the planet. Now I've studied it extensively, and the information of time and space, divine mathematics, the speed of light,
Right.
pi, phi,
I know.
etc. Like it's squaring the circle, all of those things, the layers can only, take you deeper if you allow it.
Right.
So when you went to Giza and then had this like fulfillment of your what you were drawn to. By the way, anybody who's joining us, please continue to say your name and put where you are tonight in the chat, because we're creating a web and we would love to know who's tuned in and where you're tuned in from. So you went to the pyramids. I'm sure had an acceleration of your interest, your
Oh
inspiration,
yeah.
your writing. And when did you begin to tie it into ascension teachings, like the notion of actually raising our consciousness, being able to in our bodies become awake to whatever the divine mystery is, and how did visiting sacred sites kind of continue to evolve that that interest, and you know.
Yeah, I would have to say, so I almost from the beginning, before I went to Giza, I had already been looking at Egyptian symbolism and tying it into ascension. I mean, when you read the pyramid texts and you look at the Egyptian mysteries, it's all about ascension and human transformation into a celestial being. So
Mhm.
that's the basic starting place for me. And a lot of people I know, I mean, you kind of have the two approaches, sort of the stones and bones approach to Egypt, where you're looking at, wow, how'd they lift that 100-ton block of red granite and move it around like a Lego block and that sort of thing. And they don't really get into the spiritual aspect of it. But I was always from the very beginning very much tuned into those spiritual mysteries. And I was particularly interested in the correspondence between the imagery that I was seeing in the temples, like at Dendera, where you see the pharaohs on their Ark of the Millions of Years, as it's called. And I had already seen that the way the ancient Egyptians portrayed the Ark of the Millions of Years perfectly matched the way modern science portrays a wormhole.
Mm.
So the first time I went to Egypt, I'm looking for more connections to that idea that is it possible that the ancient Egyptian gods really were Stargate or wormhole traveling beings, that which means they were at least a type 2 civilization on the Kardashev scale. They're nearing galactic. They're way beyond where we're at right now, technologically speaking, and they have left buildings like the Great Pyramid and symbolism for us as a pathway to follow to attain their higher state of consciousness. And I was on a cruise ship in Luxor in 2002. Again, on that first time that I went to Egypt, and I see this whirling dervish dancer performing an 800-year-old mystic Islamic dance where he's literally telling the story of how he's unifying heaven and earth, but in the process, he's turning himself into the shape of a wormhole, and it is blowing my mind. And I document all this. So this is what I saw. I saw this symbolism on the temple walls. I saw this mystic Islamic dance. And when it all really came together in terms of the ascension teachings was around 2006. I was at a UFO conference in San Jose, and a really lovely couple came up to me, introduced themselves. They're in their mid 50s, and said they worked with the Dalai Lama. Their specialty was translating Tibetan texts about the rainbow light body. And they asked me if I knew anything about this, and I said, no, I've never heard of it. And they said, well, basically, the Tibetans teach that lamas, gurus can dissolve their body and accelerate the frequency of their body, dissolve it into 5-colored rainbow light, leaving behind only hair, toe, and fingernails. And then once they do this, they can travel to one of 12 or 13 other star systems that Earth and Sol are connected to.
Mhm.
And they said that my work in Egypt on the wormhole symbolism answered for them a question that the Tibetans wouldn't answer because it's secret or because they didn't know the answer to the question.
Mm.
And the question was, well, when these gurus can travel into the stars in this way, how do they get there?
Mm.
And then they said they're watching my presentation about what I called Stargate Egypt and the symbolism I'm describing. And they said there was the answer, that they dissolve their body into light, but they also are able then to open a wormhole and travel to these distant star systems and then phase back into their physical flesh and blood bodies if they chose to.
Mm.
And so that was a huge moment where these insights that I'm gathering in Egypt suddenly catch the attention of these rainbow body experts working for the Dalai Lama, and they bring it back to me and put a whole different spin on it that then took me off in this whole direction of linking the ascension mysteries around the rainbow light body in various traditions around the world, which is what I've done since then with the Egyptians, the Tibetans, the Essenes, and others.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, and I got that also from the Taoist master and some other lineages as well. It's a universality there that you know,
Yes.
the rainbow body, the light body, Merkaba, there's a lot of different ways you could approach it.
Right.
Yeah.
Super important.
Yeah, I mean, the goal of being in our bodies, perhaps, if there can be said to have a goal.
Yeah. Well, a return to our true nature, who
Yes.
we really are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we only have a couple minutes left, and I'd love to ask maybe one more final question. So as we spoke yesterday, and we were talking about sacred sites and such, and I realized that in the work that I've been doing over the last handful of years, it's been sort of an obsession with maps and number and sort of tracking the distances, the angles used, the headings, sometimes the degrees around the earth that one site is to another. And I've found such mind-blowing numbers that they go far beyond the possibility that they were random in my mind. For example, from the Great Pyramid in Egypt to Pyramid of the Sun in Teotihuacan, we've got a distance of 6,666.0 nautical miles. And when we were speaking, and you mentioned to me that you were going to perhaps be speaking about the Parthenon, and I was like, ooh, I got to, jump back on my map and look at Nashville again and bring myself up to speed. Well, when I did that last night, I drew a line from the Parthenon in Nashville to the Parthenon in Athens. And I discovered that it was exactly, and I mean exactly, 4,300.0 nautical miles. A nautical mile, for those that are not familiar, is the distance that the sun travels across the earth in 1 minute. So it's about 1.15 miles. So these numbers to me signify that that somebody is measuring this. And in the ancient world, to do it from Teotihuacan to Giza and get a number like that that's so spot on is just pretty much magic.
Right.
And then now in the modern world, we've got the Parthenon in Nashville with a number in that's so perfect going back to Athens, and there's a resonation there. So briefly, I was just wondering, what do you think would be the purpose of having these sort of numbers in use? And there's many examples that I could continue to give, but in connecting one node to another, whether it's all ancient or perhaps now ancient to modern, what is the purpose behind that? What kind of energy transmission do you think can come from that?
I don't know. I would say it's probably, I'm hearing the word proof, that you have a theory and then you test it with the math and the numbers aren't going to lie. So that becomes proof that there's a higher mind that's operating here.
Yeah.
And that's what we're all seeking, is connection with that higher mind. And so certainly the math is a way to do that. I mean, you referenced all the incredible math and geometry encoded in the Great Pyramid. I mean, that is it's like a mind sharpener. It's meant to show us that, hey, yeah, we're the students, and the masters are out there, and they've left these clues and the proofs for us to follow. And as we match those numbers, the numbers don't lie, right? They tell the truth, and that's ultimately what they represent.
Absolutely, man. Great answer. It is now 9 o'clock, and we're going to have to wrap up and pass it back over to Scott. William, such a pleasure to
No, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
And many blessings on the continuation of your work. And I look
You as
forward
well.
to
Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Great
Absolutely.
job, guys. Great job. Now I know that we've got another person who can host the show. So if I'm taking a break, I'm going to have you come in and do it next time, Truth. Good job. Thank you so much. William, really appreciate it. And we're going to be hearing from William really shortly. He's our first primary speaker tonight. Welcome, everybody. I'm Love Coach Scott Katamas, and we are about to go live. I'm going to have you guys, I'm going to change the view a little bit here. Remove all spotlights. And getting ready to go live on Facebook. All right, here we are. And welcome everybody. It's great to see people from New Mexico, Kansas, Alabama, Michigan, California, Colorado, Australia. So welcome everybody. And please, we've got well over 100 people in the Zoom room. In fact, we're at about 100, close to 150 now. So please give us your name and where you're from. We love seeing that. And we're about to go live on Facebook, everyone. So let's do this. Hey, welcome everybody. It is Saturday Night Alive for the Global Peace Tribe with an amazing show all about ancient histories, mysteries. And we've got probably the world's leading authorities on that topic that have all joined us tonight. So kick back, we're going to learn a lot. It's going to be inspiring and it's exciting. I want to welcome all of you who are watching live on Facebook. And guess what? You can still come on into our Zoom room, and I really encourage you to do that because then we can chat more easily with you, and we may have time for community connections. We can come on and ask questions or connect with us. It's easy to do it. All you got to do is go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com, and register. It takes about 60 seconds, and then boom, you'll come right into our Zoom room. And we've got a lot of pretty cool things happening. So go to globalpeacetribe.com and join us. I want to thank, we've got a lot of different broadcast partners now, and we'll go into greater detail about them later in the show. But again, just want to welcome those of you watching on YouTube, those of you watching on Unify, those of you watching on the various Facebook pages, and share this with your friends. It's going to be a really amazing show. So if you are watching on Facebook, share it out to the world. Post it on your groups, your pages. We really like to get out and meet other people that way. And I also want to thank our sponsor tonight, Divine Organics. And we're going to be hearing all about them and their amazing products. So it's going to be a really fun show. Welcome, everybody. And I now get to introduce my producing partner who makes so many things happen. It's Deborah Giusti. Hi, Deborah.
Thank you, Scott, and welcome everyone to what's going to be another amazing show on Saturday Night Alive. We've produced 35 shows for you since the lockdown, and we have 3 more shows for you this season, and we're going to be launching our new season on this show, winter season, with 13 more shows. So that's going to be amazing. We're going to tell you about that later. But tonight, our theme is History's Mysteries, Ancient Advanced Spiritual Civilizations and How They Inform Us Now. Well, for me, traveling to sacred sites all around the world has been a passion. I've been to great places like the pyramids in Egypt. I've been to the Yucatan pyramids. I've been to Machu Picchu. And every time I go there, I feel such a special connection. And I know there's so much more to the story than we've been told. And I feel like it really is important for us to know about now. I feel like they have a lot to teach us. And obviously, these civilizations have had access to advanced technology way beyond what we know now. And we are going to have a team of experts on tonight that's going to be able to share with us a bit about what that is all about. And I feel like this information coming out now is so important because we're all evolving to these next levels on so many levels. And the information that we can obtain from these ancient sites is really important in all of that. So I want to share with you now the amazing luminaries and musicians and entertainers we're going to have on our show tonight. We have William Henry, who is an author, investigative mythologist, art historian, TV presenter. He's internationally recognized authority on the human potential movement, on transformation and ascension, and he's made it his goal to go around the world and study these sites. So he has a lot to share with us. We have Tricia McCannon. She's also nationally known. She's a renowned clairvoyant, historian, symbologist. She has produced 4 books, as well as she has an online mystery school. And again, she's a wealth of information on sacred sites all around the world. We have Dr. Sam Osmaganish. He is a PhD. He's a scientist, megalith, pyramid sites researcher, internationally acclaimed author, and businessman. We have Michael Feely coming all the way from England tonight. He's an ancient code breaker who has authored 7 paperback books, ebooks on various esoteric subjects. He's a public international conference speaker and global radio contributor. And we have Brad Olson. He's the author of 9 books, including 2 in the esoteric series, Modern Esoteric and Future Esoteric. He's an award-winning author, public speaker, radio show host, producer, and has made his passion to study these amazing sacred sites all over the world. And as usual, we have incredible musicians that are very aligned with these topics. We have iStar, who has been performing for over 23 years, getting listeners to groove and journey into rich imaginary and soundscapes. And we have Wah, who's well known as a kirtan singer and plays all the kirtan groups and will bring us the spiritual essence of what these sacred sites can share with us. And we always have some entertainment. We're going to have magician Sean Jay. He's a master magician who's been seen on Fox, ABC, NBC, Masters of Illusions. And he's been studying and performing with the biggest names in magic for over the last 17 years. And we have a poet, Neil Gar. He's the founder of Portal to Ascension, which is an online outlet for all these type of topics and much more in consciousness. And he does incredible rapping that weaves truth and incredible metaphysical information into poetry. And I want to honor our wonderful collaborative partner, Chiraya Dharma, who created this show. It's Chiraya's passion for these subjects and bringing in these incredible speakers and put this all together for us. So thank you. We love you so much, Chiraya. And you're right in tune with it with your pyramid hat. Thank you. And tonight we are going to launch our winter season as I shared for you. And so we've speeded up this process. So not only can you sign up for the winter season now, which we would totally love, because that will give us great green cash flow to go forward and produce it. But we are going to give you a link where you can give this away as a gift to people that you love. Now, isn't that cool? You can give away Saturday Night Alive as a gift. So we're going to be talking about that in a little bit and sharing with you all the shows that we've come up with. But now we're going to go into some music first. So Scott, would you like to share about our music? Thank you so much. Great to have you here.
Thanks, Deborah. We've got iStar coming back. They have been with us before, and I'm sure they'll be with us again. And they are coming all the way from Asheville, North Carolina. And you know, when I did my sound check with them earlier today, I got chills when I listened to this song because it's so pertinent to what this show is all about. But let me briefly tell you, for those of you who don't know iStar, they display a real wide genre-crossing versatility. They have influences of funk, world, reggae, rock, folk, hop, you name it, they kind of combine it. And they've been playing together for 23 years. They started when they were 12, performing at festivals. I'm joking about the 12, but that's what I'm guessing. But they've been at festivals, colleges, clubs, yoga studios, all over. And you know, during this lockdown, so many of our musical talents haven't been able to perform in the ways that they normally do. And so we are so grateful that we get to spotlight them on Saturday Night Alive. So everybody, please listen to these lyrics because they are so pertinent to what our show is all about. Take it away, iStar.
Thanks so much. Just to clarify, we have each been playing for 23 years, but for 14 years together. Not that full 23 years. We would have had to start about 18, 19 or so.
I like the assumption though that I'm 35.
All right. So this song tonight is called Humanity Unites. And it's off of our brand new album that we just released this fall. And it's just about bringing us together in this time. You know, there's so much division and there's just so much conflict. And this is, you know, a prayer that we can all bring our hearts together. Why, oh, 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 oh. Why, oh, 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 oh. Why, oh, 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 oh. Why, oh, oh. When humanity unites, I see a brilliant light that glows like the stars shining through across the night. Why, oh, 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 oh. So bright, everything's gonna be alright. Right this way, it's the path of a legend. The steps are uncertain, but the sunset beckons. Stories complicated, plot twist by the second. Like a choose your own adventure, where the guide is your intention. All of your questions have a lesson to be reckoned. Rinse, repeat, pay attention to the second. Genuine reflection always beats aimless guessing. If you've got the guts to face fear and all of its deception. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh. Wisdom is learning that the road is long. Wear good shoes, make sure your core is strong. Take deep breaths, let your shoulders relax. Don't carry no stress that you can't give back. Oh, 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 oh. When humanity unites, I see a brilliant light that glows like the stars shining through across the night. Why, oh, 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 so bright, everything gonna be alright.
Who am I? Not my perceptions, all my struggles, all my triumphs, all my reflections. I am the one who sees.
I am the one who dreams.
Make this life into be. Wisdom is learning that the road is long. Wear good shoes, make sure your core is strong. Take deep breaths, let your shoulders relax. Don't carry no stress that you can't give back.
No, no, oh, oh. When humanity unites, I see a brilliant light that glows like the stars shining through across the night. Why, oh, 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 so bright, everything gonna be alright. We got a special guest tonight.
Give me serenity enough to show compassion to an enemy. Courage to speak the truth when things are not what they pretend to be. Wisdom to listen to the rhythms of the winds of change. Knowing things don't ever really stay the same. In the rain I hear humility. My step is slow and steady. Breath filling me, staying open, stretching, always ready for those moments of epiphany. When all is finally clear and I know beyond my vain beliefs exactly why I'm here. Here is such a poor excuse for not following your heart. What if this? What if that? What if everything falls apart? And when it does, we can be happy as a prophet self-fulfilled to recognize the sabotage collapse in every house you build. In the stillness of acceptance, be it so as I profess it, I let go of all resistance and my ways of living reckless. I know what self-respect is, eternally connected to the source of love and light, and this life forever blessed. Oh, oh, oh. When humanity unites, I see a brilliant light that glows like the stars shining through across the night. Why, oh, 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 so bright. Everything gonna be alright. Everything gonna be alright. Everything gonna be alright.
Whew. Oh, what a great way to get us started. And I just want to tell everybody you can learn all about iStar by going to istarvision.com, istarvision.com, and get their music, learn all about them. Get their new album, the Cycles album. Let's get that.
It's really good.
Yeah. I just want to thank you guys so much. That song just rocks. It gets us off to a great, great start. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. And I get to turn it over to Deborah to introduce our first speaker.
Thank you, Scott. And I'm so happy to introduce actually one of my favorite personal teachers. I've been following William Henry for many, many years. He is an investigative mythologist. He's an art historian. He's a TV presenter, and he's internationally recognized authority on human spiritual potential, transformation, and ascension. What's so great about William is he put in an incredible amount of time researching around the world on what's really going on in ancient history and current spiritual realities. And what I love him is he's grounded his information in fact, but has really tuned into the metaphysical aspect of what this all means on higher dimensional levels. He always incredibly informs me. He's done over 30 years of research. He has 18 books, and he can help guide us to the next level of human consciousness. So I'm so happy to present and invite William Henry to come with us now. Hello, William.
Hi, Deborah. Thank you so much. It's so great to see you here, and so great to see everybody this evening. Thank you very much for joining us. So I'm just going to share my screen here, and we'll get right into our presentation for this evening. So my wife Claire and I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and this is a photo of me in my backyard, what I call our backyard anyway. This is the Parthenon here in Nashville, and Claire and I live just 3 minutes up the road from the Parthenon. So when I'm home here in Nashville, I'm here every day. This is my place of meditation. It's my sanctuary. It's a place I come to regroup and to ground. And I wanted to share some insights that are here at the Parthenon in Nashville, which is again a recreation. It's a scale replica of Athena's Parthenon from ancient Athens. And Athena, of course, is the ancient Greek goddess of wisdom and also the goddess of war. And what we also find here at the Parthenon is that it encodes many, many secrets of ascension. Athena is the primary goddess of ascension to the Greeks. All of her mysteries were about the attainment of the light body and this wondrous garment of light that transforms all of us. So it's a book in stone that encodes these secrets, and of course the secrets of sacred geometry as well. You can place the Fibonacci spiral just precisely on top of this facade of this east side of the temple that we're looking at here. But for this evening, I wanted to call your attention to the story that's being told on this pediment, because it directly relates to what is happening in our world right now. And in a way, it's a sort of a wake-up call for what is transpiring in our world. In the center of the pediment, you see a figure sitting on a throne. That's Zeus. He's the king of the gods. And he's actually sitting on his ascension throne, what we would call the Merkaba throne in the esoteric Jewish mysteries. Standing on Zeus's, on his knee is the goddess Nike. She's the goddess of victory. And she's placing a laurel wreath on Athena, who stands beside her, holding her spear and her shield. And at this very moment, Zeus is not a happy camper. And the reason why is because another Greek god, whose name is Prometheus, had stolen fire from the gods and given it to humanity. And Zeus was really upset about this, because this was like a violation of the prime directive. The fire was the primary weapon of the gods, and it wasn't meant for humans. And by giving it to human beings, now that was changing the world order. It was changing the universal order. So Zeus gets an idea that he's going to turn to the god who's standing behind him, who's holding an axe in this scene here. His name is Hephaestus. He is the Greek god of technology. He actually built a robot, the first robot known to modern civilization, that was called Talos, and guarded the island of Crete. He made all kinds of inventions, as a matter of fact. And Zeus, knowing this, turned to Hephaestus and said, I want you to create a new being. And I want this to be a temptress. And her name was Pandora. And the thing is that while she was an artificially created being, in that she was made, not born, she did not have a soul. And Hephaestus knew that this new living being that this new being that he had created could turn into a living being if she had a soul. So he goes to the goddess Athena, and this is Athena inside the Parthenon here in Nashville. It's the tallest indoor statue in the Western world. She's 42 feet tall. And it isn't quite conveyed in this photo, but she is immense when you're inside and standing before her. And so Hephaestus goes to Athena and asks her to blow a soul into Pandora so that she can transform from an artificial creation into a living being. And this is what happens in the Greek story of Pandora, is that she becomes a living being, having had this soul blown into her. And many have acknowledged that this Greek story has many motifs similar to the story of Eve in the Garden of Eden. Eve, like Pandora, was made, not born. And in the Old Testament story, it was the god Yahweh who blew a soul into Eve rather, and made her a living being. One message here most certainly is that souls are transmittable, that they can go from one container to another, and that the gods have the ability to not only create artificial beings, but also to take a soul from one container and put it into another. And this is exactly what we are doing today. We are now creating beings in our image, robots. We're using them now as sex toys, actually. You might have heard the story last week of the Romanian bodybuilder who married his sex bot. And this is kind of really alarming to people. And on one level, it most certainly is, because it says, well, wait a minute. Do robots actually have rights? Are they not living beings? This sex bot does not have a soul. Does that mean she's not entitled to rights? And this is a really important question. In fact, Saudi Arabia has given the robot Sophia rights as a citizen in Saudi Arabia. So there's all kinds of metaphysical questions that are now emerging, and it's you and I that have to direct this conversation. We have to decide what are the limits for creating these new artificial beings that are inhabiting our planet. There potentially, we're told by futurists, could be hundreds of millions of robots, such as Valkyrie, what we're looking at here, which is being developed by NASA to actually settle Mars and to create a new civilization on Mars. And it's you and I who are going to decide, is this the right path for humanity? And what it's calling on us to do, and this is the hopeful aspect of this, is to really lock onto what does it mean to be human? What is it about you and me that makes us so special and unique in this universe? And we need to really more fully appreciate these aspects of ourselves that make us so special. We are created by a higher being. We call it our creator, source, God, and we have a mission. We are here to as agents of love of this creator. And now there are aspects of us, people among us, that have decided that maybe we too have reached the level of the gods. We have this enormously advanced technology where we now can create artificial beings. Are we going to then take the next step and begin implanting souls in those beings? For example, Facebook is encouraging users now to create cartoon avatars that are equated with you and your soul. Is a cartoon avatar on Facebook in any way congruent with you and your soul? Is it the same thing? These are the questions that are going to be more and more apparent in driving our culture in the years to come. You might be familiar here with Michaela. She is a being, an artificially created being who is a singer and a songwriter. She's portrayed in music videos with other figures. And a lot of people who watch her, and she has millions of followers on Facebook, don't know that she's not real. They don't know that she is purely a synthetic being who only exists in the digital realm. And even corporations like Samsung are now getting into this. They've teamed up with the Advanced Research Lab here in America, and they've created a human-like AI being that they call Neon, who is virtually indistinguishable from real humans. And I know for some, that's not going to set well, because we're wondering, well, what are we really doing here? We're creating these artificial beings. Why aren't we focusing more on the soul and the development of our own spiritual advancement before we create these beings? And part of my response to that would be, maybe we're more advanced than we think. Maybe we have excelled in this technology to a level where it's now our role to play the role of the creator. And what that means is that we have to be far, far more responsible with our planet, with ourselves, with our souls, with all beings in our world, because we are now giving birth to whole new species. They aren't in our physical presence, some of these beings like Neon, which are purely synthetic, living in the digital realm only. But we're told by the engineers who are working on these things now, including Pranab Mistry here at Samsung, who believes that they will have a physical embodiment, that the synthetic and digital beings that we're creating in our computers will actually be able to take on a physical embodiment in our world. This means we're changing fast. And we have now reached a level of understanding of technology that is far beyond perhaps the comprehension even of the average person. But what it also means is that we have increased our responsibility in our world. And it's up to you and I to understand this transformation that is taking place and to start to play a more active role in terms of guiding what we are going to be doing with this technology from this point forward. I am one that has warned about the advances and acceleration of AI and how it's coming into our world. I am largely against it, but I also understand its role in our world. It's allowing us to connect right now. And so there are many positive aspects of AI and this technology. And what we've got to do right now is begin to fully understand that and our role within it. And what that means also is that it's up to us to really begin to embody our full humanity at this time. We have got to be exemplars, especially for young people, to show that, hey, you have something really, truly special within you, a gift from our Creator. You have a soul. And the beings that you're interacting with in these role-playing games and that hundreds of millions of people play around the world right now, they don't have souls. And we want to begin to encouraging, especially young people, to understand that our time on this planet is precious, and this planet that we live on is precious as well. And to begin to respect and understand the natural world as much as we do the digital world. So that to me is the message coming from the ancient Greeks. That's part of the moral of the story of the creation of Pandora, is that we have to be able to look within and find hope, and always have hope for our future. And hope is engendered by our belief in our understanding in ourselves and our connection with one another. So if you would like to follow up more on some of these ideas about how AI is coming into our world and its impact on our spiritual selves and how to navigate through what's coming, my website is williamhenry.net. I've got a couple of dozen articles that I've written over the past few years on these subjects. In addition, on December 12th, I'll be on Portal to Ascension for their Sacred Sites and Ceremonies webinar presentation, where I'll be talking about ancient Egypt and the Tree of Life, and be walking you through the ancient Egyptian Tree of Life initiation. So I hope you'll join us for that. And I want to thank Scott and Deborah for having me join you all this evening, and thank you so much for being here, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the evening together. So thank you very, very much.
Wow. Thank you so much, William.
Pleasure.
I really love how you gave us ancient history and then future and where we are now and wove it together. And that's really such a perfect start to our show. How
Right.
we can learn from the past and see where we are now, and hopefully make choices based on our learning and understanding from the past.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you very, very much. And again,
pleasure. Thank you.
WilliamHenry.net.
Yes.
They showed it up. All right. Well, thank you, William. All
Pleasure.
right. We've got something really kind of special. And we're going to actually do an even unique introduction. So here we go.
He's been seen on the hit TV show Masters of Illusion on the CW network, Fox TV's Master Chef, ABC News, Fox Morning News, NBC News, and the TEDx stage. An award-winning magician, inspirational speaker, and a man of many diverse talents. Please welcome to the stage. Let him hear your energy and make some noise for Sean Jay.
Yes. No, that's not Sean Jay. That's Sean Jay.
Right here.
There he is.
Here I am.
About this. Is it a holographic image or is it really you?
It's actually me, the one and only.
All right, Sean, welcome to Saturday Night Alive. What do
Thank
got
you.
for us tonight?
Yes, thank you, Scott. Thank you, Shariah, and thank you to the rest of the Global Peace Tribe for inviting me to be a part of this great event. This is a fantastic thing you guys are doing in the world with so much darkness and confusion right now. We're bringing light to the world. So this is very nice, and I feel very grateful to be a part of it. So thank you again. And when talking with Shariah, she said to me, she said, "Hey, Sean, is there any way that you can incorporate the theme of this evening into your magical presentation?" And I said, of course. And this is exactly what I was thinking about. You know, ancient civilizations, they leave behind clues, many clues. And it's up to us to decide how we interpret these clues. Now, at first glance, it might not look like anything special at all, right? But if we take a closer look at ancient history, if we do a little digging, like an archaeologist, we can find stories of courage, stories of friendship, and stories of demise, delusion, and defiance and war. All interesting topics. And even if we're able to just glean just a drop of wisdom from these stories, and clues, we can change the way we think. We can change our mindset. And then in due time, we'll come to realize how smart these ancients really were. And if we combine the wisdom of the past with what we know now, we can prosper as a society. I assume, because of the nature of this format, I can't hear anything, but I'm assuming everybody's shocked in amazement or stunned in silence.
Absolutely.
So we'll just leave it.
Very cool.
No, thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll just leave it right there. And what I was also thinking, though, what else can we learn from these ancients? And I was thinking that the societies of the past, they really focused on family values. It was one tribe. It was tribal societies. There were tribes all over. You know, if you think about the ancient societies of Asia, India, Latin America, these were all very family-oriented societies. And they all took care of their elders. They took care of their mom. They took care of their dad. And I think that's very important, unlike today's modern-day society where we turn 18 and then we're off to the races because, you know, you're a grown-up and you know everything, and you're independent now. So I think the modern day society can learn from the past a little bit. And that's why I carry this around my neck. You're probably wondering what in the world this thing is. This is an amulet that I actually carry with me. This is something I made on a 3D printer. And if you look closely inside, you will actually see a little surprise. It's a picture of me. And right there, that's my mom.
Oh.
Right? And the reason why this looks like a combination of a pocket watch and a camera, almost like with a camera lens, because this reminds me of her passion, photography. And this represents all the extra time that we have in quarantine. It's actually a gift. See, a lot of people are just sitting there wasting their time. They think that they're in control of time, but it's actually time that controls them. Watch. Get it? Watch. But you see, I have to ask you all, what are you doing with your time? Is it meditation? Or are you spending the time with those that you love? Spend your time wisely. You never know when you'll be able to see that person that you love again. I hope you'll be spending it wisely because I sure am right now, and I hope you guys enjoy the mysteries of ancient societies. I'm Sean J. Abracadabra. And this one's for you, Mom. Thank you so much.
I just had to add this family that's been like, what all of us are watching in rapt attention, but you know, the reaction of the three of them was pretty cool. We're lucky. Sean's going to come back.
I'm going to be back.
He's going to share more with us. But let me bring up right now just a little bit of how we can learn more about Sean.
Sure.
And that is by going to SeanJMagic.com. And here is his card.
Should be a graphic there.
SeanJMagic.com. He's been seen on Fox and NBC and ABC and even TEDx, Masters of Illusion. Sean, it's really cool to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And can I mention one thing, or I can mention it again when I come back on later?
Mention it right now.
Okay, real quick. There's something for all of the families and for all the children in this dark time to keep everybody happy and spread some light in the world. I've developed, with the help of a friend of mine, a brand new magic trick that's being sold to the public called the Hip Hop Rabbits. It's really cool. There's more information on my website. If you want to learn more about it, feel free to go on my website and contact me. It's a great for the upcoming holiday season. Thanks so much, Scott.
Hip Hop Rabbit. All right.
Hop Rabbits.
All right. Well, I'm now going to go to my hip hop partner, Deborah, who's going to introduce our next speaker. And thanks again, Sean.
Thanks. I'll be back.
Great. Thank you, Scott. Michael Feely, we are so happy to have him with us tonight. He's coming all the way from England. He's a former UK police officer, but now he has broken the ancient code. He's authored 7 paperback books. He's a public and international conference speaker, global radio contributor, and he has a lot to share with us on these topics. So we're so happy to present. Thank you, Michael, for coming all the way from England and being with us now and sharing your amazing wisdom that you have about this important topic of ancient spiritual civilizations and how they inform us now. Michael Feely.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me to this wonderful event, and the power of technology allows me to come straight across the pond within seconds, so thank you. Yes, as you said in the introduction, I'm a former UK police officer, 17 years. I learned 17 years of investigative knowledge, and in 2009 I left that career due to various things that was happening to me at the time. I now use that investigative training to decipher ancient codes, and that's exactly what I've done, piecing together the whole of the ancient world in a way that is quite new and quite fresh to what I've seen. Been able to piece the ancient world together by mathematics and also by theme, and also realized by research that none of these cultures were actually individual cultures. They were all singing from the same hymn sheet. Now I'm just going to briefly go into my history. I'm actually a direct descendant of Queen Scotia of Egypt, so Egypt is quite pinnacle in my life and in my blood and in my DNA. So when I went back to the Great Pyramid, it was like a sort of a homecoming for the soul. I'm just going to briefly go over some of my works, and it is obviously too far vast to go into any great detail. But what I found is that the Giza Plateau is really the original Bible in stone, and we see the likes of Noah's Ark, which is really the Great Pyramid, and you see this is actually stated in the likes of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now the Dead Sea Scrolls were hidden, and the Knights Templar bought them, and I found their hiding place within Roslin Chapel in Scotland. So that is for another talk. Now, when you look at the Bible, and I have done it, and I've pieced all together the whole of the world's religions into one. When you look at the Bible and you see the likes of Genesis means in the mind. Now, the Great Pyramid represents the mind. Now, what I've done is I've put a map overlay of the human head over the Great Pyramid, and it shows that the Great Pyramid, the chambers, the Queen's Chamber, the King's Chamber, and the thalamus is clearly marked with the King's Chamber, the Queen's Chamber, and that little tower that you see inside the Great Pyramid. So the Great Pyramid represents mind, it represents consciousness, and it's actually an exact map overlay of the endocrine system of human consciousness. So that is the Great Pyramid. Now, when you look at the words, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. In geometry, in is 51. 51.51 is the slope of the Great Pyramid. So again, in Genesis, in the mind, in the beginning, in the mind, which is the Great Pyramid. So the Great Pyramid is really, as are all the other ancient sites, they are voice-activated keys that open portals using X, Y, and Z coordinates. Now, when you look at the English language, the last 3 letters are X, Y, Z. So the Egyptians were creating portals, and I've actually seen wormholes and UFO craft coming out of them in the sky. But the Egyptians were able to create these portals from various star alignments, from various techniques of transmutation. Now, I've put together a little board just before the show. So if you can't see it, don't worry, because I will read it out to you. So when we look at the word Jesus, and we're looking at geometry, and we look at gematria, we have what Jesus represents in gematria, the numerical value of words. So when you times the numbers, 4 times 5 times 6 times 6 times 6, it gives you 432. Now that is the radius of the sun. When you actually add all that together, 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 6, etc., it equals 27. That is Jesus. If you get the word Christ and you look at the gematria of the word Christ, 3, 6, 5, 5, 6, 7, you add all that together, you get 32. 27 times 32 is 864, which is the diameter of the sun. Now, 432 is the hertz frequency that created the pyramids. When you do sound experiments at 432 hertz, it creates a tetrahedron shape. So the Great Pyramid was created by sound, and it is a sound key to the stars. When we look at gematria in Hebrew and Greek, we have 2368, which is the Greek gematria of Jesus Christ, and the Hebrew gematria of Jesus Christ is 754. When we divide those two numbers, we get 3.14, which is pi. So the pi in the sky, which is the solar sun, is the real Christ. Now, when we look at the Bible, that tells us the body of Christ is the church. What do they mean? Esoterically, church comes from the word circe, which gives us the word circle. Pi, the great pi in the sky, the solar sun. Now, the sun obviously goes through the transit of the 12 disciples, the Christ and the 12 disciples. Now, when we look at the name Horus, which gives us the like of horizon and hours, we see the geometric value of Horus and Yeshua is 2,160. That is the amount of years that the sun spends in each sign of the zodiac. Now, when you do 2,160 times 12, the 12 signs, it gives you 25,920, which is the exact years of the precession of the equinox, which is really measured out in the Giza Plateau. When we look at the Christian cross, as you can see there, or the T-square or the cardinal cross, this really is enlightenment. It is the path of the soul of enlightenment, the Christian cross. Now, not only does it capture the cardinal points, cardinal meaning cardinalis, the knowledge, doorway to knowledge, but it also captures the 4 fixed points of the zodiac. So we have Scorpio, which is the eagle. We have Aquarius, which is the man. We have Leo, which is the lion. We have Taurus, which is the ox. That is the 4 beasts of Revelation. It is also the Sphinx of Egypt, which represents the 4 fixed points of the zodiac. Now, when you have, when you get together, and I've circled the first letter of each of those fixed points, we have S for Scorpio, we have A for Aquarius, we have L for Leo, and we have T for Taurus. That spells salt. Salt comes from sal, which is salvation. Salvation of the cross. It is the pathway to enlightenment. The world that we believe to be true is not true. There is lots and lots of sacred information that has been stolen from humanity. Humanity are the Anunnaki, i.e. we are the shining ones, we are the life from the stars. So I have a completely different version of the Anunnaki story, but hence to say, the Egyptians were traveling the stars, they were the star walkers, and they were coming back to Earth as the shining ones. It is an absolute wonderful, wonderful esoteric world. And when the Bible says, thou shalt not steal, what it really means is those who have stolen the sacred knowledge from us are the real thieves. Thank you very much for your attention over the last 10 minutes. This is a really, really deep, wonderful subject, and I hope I've done it justice in a very, very sort of nutshell of a presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Well, the good news is because you do have so much to share, Michael has been very kind to agree to come on to the show that I do on Sunday mornings. And he's going to come on and share tomorrow. And we're going to go in depth for anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes, where we can really learn much, much more about what Michael has to offer. So you can find it live on Facebook. I'll also put the link into our chat box if you're going to come into our Zoom room, or if you go to my Facebook profile page after the show, I will post this poster and the Zoom room link where you can come in. But that's going to be where we can really go deep with Michael and learn much, much more. And then for those of you who can't join us tomorrow, I want to show you how you can learn more about Michael in general, because obviously he has a tremendous amount to share. So his website is Michael-Feeley, Feeley.com. Michael-Feeley.com is his website, or you can email him, michael@michaelfeeley.com. So hopefully you'll join us tomorrow, Sunday. Also, that show will be recorded and it will be available on my Facebook page. My Facebook page is public and it's profiled and easy to find. Michael, thank you so much. It is now almost 3 o'clock in the morning in England, and I wish you a really good night's rest. God bless you for being with us, and I look forward to seeing you in the morning.
Thank you all.
Let's all take a breath. What an amazing amount of information we've already received. It's a lot to digest, isn't it? So normally around this moment of the show is where we spotlight who we're supporting. And most recently, we've been supporting victims who have lost their homes in the recent wildfires in California, Oregon, Colorado. Over the time that we've been doing this show, we've raised over $65,000 for nonprofit organizations and fire victims. And it's all because of you. So thank you. Some of you are loyal fans, people like Andrew and Connie who've been watching from the very first show. And some of you, this is the very first time that you've discovered us. But this show has really created a whole kind of magic of its own. And like I always like to say, I believe that anybody watching, anyone listening, we all are butterfly cells in the new world that's forming. Using the caterpillar into a butterfly analogy, we are the imaginal cells and we find each other. And Saturday Night Alive has become a way that we can all stay connected at least once a week and be inspired, even though we're in some pretty dark times. By nature, I'm an optimist, but I think we all recognize that we have a very dark and cold winter ahead. It's going to be a hard time for a lot of people. Obviously, in the United States, the pandemic is expanding at a very, very rapid rate. And a lot of people are going to get sick. And probably all of us are going to know people that are sick. And most of us might know people that leave their bodies. And so many of the things we love have been taken away from us. No festivals, no concerts, no sporting events. Here in California, they're shutting down all the bars and the restaurants and the clubs. So it's a time that as we go into winter and all these things that we love have been taken away, it is a good time to go within, to reflect, to look at our lives, look at what do we need to do differently? How can we create a more sustainable world? How can we really live our Dharma? How can we live our lives in the highest way possible? And Saturday Night Alive is here to inspire and bring community together. So we want to let you know that tonight's the night that we're announcing our winter season. Deborah and myself and Shariah, Laura, and our team, our ever-growing team of people, have been putting together our new season. And we're very excited about it. And we want to invite you to be a part of that season. And so now to tell you more about it, I'm going to bring on my partner, Deborah.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, this has been such an amazing experience, and you're definitely a part of it because it's your feedback, your ideas, all of that you want to see on the show is what's inspiring us forward and create 13 new shows that we've come up with. And these are topics that we feel are really current to the pulse of what's going on, and also give a wide variety of all kinds of things that can help us grow through what we're calling this birth canal that we're in right now into a new world. Also, one reason why we're launching it today is because we thought it would be really cool to allow you to give it away, give a subscription for the new season away as a gift to someone you love. So wouldn't that be great to be able to share this with so many people you love and give it as a gift? So not only do we have the link tonight for you to sign up for the fall season, which would be really great, we have a link where you can sign up and put your beloved's address and email in there, and they will instantly get a gift from Saturday Night Alive of the new season. So we're going to put links in the chat room for that. And signing up tonight is really going to help us because it's a lot to produce a show every single Saturday, but we've done 35 so far. But your support in signing up with your donations, because as you sign up, you can give a donation to Saturday Night Alive, and your support really, really helps us do very quality shows for you. So we thank you so much for your support. All the green love that comes in will come into us and go right back at you. So I'd love to give you a preview now of the shows that we're going to have. So Scott, can you bring up our wonderful graphic that shows all the shows?
Absolutely. Here it is.
January 2nd is going to be co-creating the optimum 2020 for us all. That's been a big theme of us all the way throughout, that we can really co-create the world. And so we want to use all our superpowers and really vision and manifest the new world we are creating now. January 9th is Angels and Miracle Healing, with the healing that is needed for the planet now. It's really important to tune in to all aspects of miracle healing that's available for us now. January 16th, we are going to honor Martin Luther King, building community convergence. This is a time now where we all come together and racial justice is being healed, and we are going to have an incredible show for you on all of that. We're going to be co-producing with Sign Network on that. January 23rd, Transitioning Times, let us be prepared. With the times that we're in now, we really have to think about our local economy, survival, new ways of doing things, and we're going to bring on experts that can share us what the cutting edge of being prepared in these times are. And January 30th, this is a show that we've done twice now, and we're going to do it every season. Understanding the reunification of Indigenous people. They have so much to share with us, and we're going to bring on Indigenous elders from all over the world to enlighten us on what we need to know now for these times. And Scott, can you tell us what we're going to be experiencing in February?
Yeah, in February, we've got 4 more great shows planned, starting on February 6th with our good friend Mark Sims coming back on. And Mark has something amazing he's going to share. I've been fortunate to be in pretty close contact with him to see what he's going to be unveiling. And on February 6th, you're going to learn a specific way, practical way, that you can have direct contact with our star family up in the sky. On February 13th, of course, it's just before Valentine's Day. It's Valentine's weekend. And so we're going to be focusing on romance and love. And we've already got Margot Anand and Kamala Devi, 2 amazing sacred sexuality teachers. Margot literally wrote the book on sacred sexuality, and they're already scheduled for that. And like all of our shows, we'll be adding lots of other amazing people. On February 20th, Teresa Collins will be coming back. And again, once every 3 months, once per season, Teresa does a show with us, bringing global coherence pulse, which is bringing people like Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton and their wisdom and the science and spirituality merging together. And then on February 27th, we're excited, Jay Mayer, who sponsors so many of our shows. And we're so grateful for Jay and Light Touch. And again, every 3 months, we'd like to see what's the latest advances in optimizing our health. And of course, in our past shows, we had Deepak Chopra and many amazing leaders in the world of optimizing our health. And we'll continue that on February 27th. And Deborah, what do we have happening in March?
March 6th, Feminine Leadership, Changing Our World. We've had 2 shows regarding the divine feminine, and this one is going to be about women now kicking ass on the planet, like those women in leadership right now that are moving forward. We're going to highlight all of that. March 13th, we have understanding and communicating with our animal family. During these times where we don't have as much connection with our human family, it seems like our animal family has become more important than ever. And we'll have a lot of experts that can share with you how to do deep communication with your animal family. On March 20th, we always highlight the sacred portals on the equinox and spring equinox here. And we will bring on very high-level spiritual teachers and do activation for the spring equinox. And March 27th is an open topic. So we're going to leave it up to the viewers to do that. We have been putting out surveys and we're putting it out again today. And then we're going to choose based on what you've shared. So I'm posting the link for the winter season, and again, the link for giving away a gift subscription, and the link for the survey. So please fill out the survey, which will tell us what you like about the show, what you want to know about it, and what topics you want to see. And that will help us create the next season for you as well. And also, when you sign up, we really want to honor the people that do give us a larger donation, because that really does help us pull this whole thing off. So we are having monthly supporter parties. And so if you've donated in the past a large amount for this season, over $75, and if you donate for the next season, we'll invite you to our December supporter party, which is going to be December 17th, same time as this show, starting at 6 p.m. And we're going to have music with Pollyanna Bush and Cornflower, some of our favorite musicians. We're going to have some really creative dialogue. We're going to have breakout groups where you can actually meet people that are in the Zoom room. So it's going to be very interactive. We've done 2 of them and they've been really fun. If you don't have the funds for the supporters party, in terms of giving a higher donation, but you want to be included, we definitely want to include everyone. And we have a link where you can share some other things with us. You can help us promote, you can help us do some volunteer work, because this is a lot to do this. And so we appreciate all the help we can get. So I'm also going to put a link in there for the supporters party if you want to sign up and be a supporter and donate some of your time and services. So I'll put all those links in all the chat rooms. They'll also be in the email that goes out with all the replays, so you can sign up then as well. And we really appreciate your signups this month to help us give us the green juju to move forward and create all these shows. So thank you so much. Such deep appreciation and love.
Thank you. And we're going to have a musical act in a moment, which Deborah will introduce. But as you're listening to this amazing, beautiful music from Wah, this is a good time. Go ahead and register, fill out the survey. This is a good time to really give us that information and come on board. Your support means so much to us. Also a reminder, anybody watching on Facebook, you still can come on into our Zoom room, and that's just by going to globalpeacetribe.com, register, and you can still come on into the Zoom room. And the links that Deborah's going to be putting out, she'll be putting them out throughout the night, both in our Zoom room and for those of you on Unify or any of the shared groups and pages out of Love Coach Academy. Thank you, everybody. We love you guys, and we're really excited about the new season. Deborah, tell us about Wah.
Yes, this is one of my favorite musicians. I've seen her at the Bhakti Fest and other places like that, where she travels around and shares her gifts, her wisdom, and her spiritual music. She's world renowned, and she brings healing through sounds and the teachings of yoga. Less stress, more Wah is her slogan. And it's really beautiful. And we just really wanted to have her as we gave this offering of the new season, and to put an exclamation point on it with her love and great vibrations. So thank you, Wah, for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Deborah and Scott, for creating an incredible service for the community. So vital and so crucial at this time. Thank you. Every week. It's amazing. If your dreams don't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough. When you open the path, you open yourself. A higher vibration will arise. Listen for the message, look for the signs. Picking up on the higher vibration. Picking up, stepping into life. Stepping into life for the revelation, healing the people one by one, standing under them so that they feel strong. I feel like love, 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 feels like love, love, love. Healing the people one by one, standing under them so that they feel strong. Take the time to find your inner reality. Open your heart to all you can see. Trust love, hold the hands that are holding you. Everything is made for you. Everything. Picking up on the higher vibration. Stepping into life for the revelation. Picking up on the higher vibration. Stepping into life for the revelation. For the revelation. For the revelation. The revelation. No other way to live but to go into love. Time is telling, some are willing to rise above. I can't live like the dead any longer. I can't live with the dread and get stronger. Got to live for the higher I long for. Picking up on the higher vibration. Stepping into life for the revelation. Picking up on the higher vibration. Stepping into life for the revelation. Healing the people one by one. Standing under them so that they feel strong. It feels like love, love, love. Feels like love, love, love. Don't explain, just transmit the feeling. Angels will come and carry the blessing. Step it up, step it up, step it up for love. Don't explain, just transmit the feeling. Angels will come and carry the blessing. Step it up for love. The revelation. Stepping into life for the revelation. The revelation. Stepping into life for the revelation. Healing the people one by one. Standing under them so that they feel strong. It feels like love. 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 Love. A higher vibration.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That is just like, it's like the perfect theme song for who we are and what we're all about. And God bless everybody listening for lifting us into a higher vibration, even in these challenging times. Wa's going to come back and play again for us tonight, but also want to let you know how to find her. It's easy. wamusic.com. That's WAHMUSICK. I went into Mickey Mouse there. wamusic, WAHMUSIC.com. And Wa, thank you so much for just being such a gem. Thank you.
Thank you.
I get to introduce someone that I think I've probably, other than Deborah, I have known the longest of anybody here. This is Tricia McCannon. And Tricia, we first started doing television shows together back in the mid 90s when you were on some of the shows that I was producing. So it's great to have you back with us. Here we are again. And for those of you who don't know, Tricia McCannon is a renowned clairvoyant, historian, symbologist, and an American teacher. She's been trained in many ancient streams of knowledge, as you're about to see. She's been a keynote speaker for over 20 years, and she's the author of 4 books, 13 online mystery school books or classes, 30 DVDs, and several online video courses for 2 different online universities. She's appeared on over 200 radio and TV shows worldwide, including, of course, Coast to Coast AM, Dreamland, and Strange Universe. That's a show that I was a supervising producer on. She's done a lot of documentaries, and she's the founder of the Phoenix Lodge Mystery School in Atlanta. She's a reverend, a keynote speaker, a workshop leader, and she's got a lot of wonderful things to share with us. So take it away, Tricia. Thanks for being with us.
God, it's always such a pleasure to be with you and Deborah, and always love your show. So thank you so much for having me on. I know you have 15 minutes, which is a big space in a show like yours with so many talented people. And I've tried to condense basically a 3-hour presentation on Atlantis. So we have about 60 slides, and we're going to be flying through them very quickly. But I'm going to just go ahead and share my screen. And if you guys will bear with me here, and if you'll let me know if you can see that, and hopefully you can. And let's see if we can get you guys a little bit out of the way here. And we're going to see from the beginning. Can everyone see that? Deborah,
Looks
can
great.
you give me a nod? Okay,
Looks
good.
great, Tricia.
Okay, so let's just jump in. You know, since the show is about lost civilizations, there's a lot we can say about it. But basically, the civilization that we have in the version of history we've been taught is a very small slice of what's actually really occurred on this earth. We've had at least 2, maybe 3, maybe even 4 other very involved civilizations in the past. And perhaps the most famous is, of course, Atlantis. And I just love this very beautiful image of, you know, the whole cathedral underwater with, of course, the emblem from Chalice Well. And these are all encoded Hermetic symbols about the path of mastery that has largely been lost to us that we're rediscovering today. Of course, the stories of Atlantis are that it was a legendary continent or island in our distant past. And we first hear about it in Plato's Timaeus, or the Republic. And he got that actually from from his friend, who wound up literally getting it from an Egyptian priest, talking about this advanced civilization that had gone down roughly 9,000 years prior to when he told the story, around 350 BC. So that's going to put it about 11,700 years ago. We hear of it as an idealized world, a time that, given the last 2,000 years, we look back and see, having gone through our dark ages, this was a time of high culture. It was a time when there was contact with the star beings, with our star brothers and sisters, where we had advanced technologies, and we went through many different periods. Certainly, it was a time when we had more access to our spiritual gifts, like telepathy and telekinetic ability, where we did not think of ourselves as an isolated planet with no other planets that had life on them. We acknowledged the fact that there are literally hundreds of planets that have human and humanoid life, sentient beings and souls that are evolving, where we had actually more knowledge of who we are. And we're just coming back to some of that today. When we begin to contemplate the idea of Atlantis, we have to realize that there have been these earlier ages in Earth's history, ages that today we know very little about because it was such worldwide destruction. And of course, we're in the process of rediscovering some of the sacred sites and the pyramids that are remnants from that civilization so long ago. So were there earlier ages on the Earth? In fact, there were. Ancient people tell us that there have been either 3 or 4 earlier civilizations or ages of mankind. The Hopi tell us that this is actually the 4th age that we are in. So there were 3 prior ages according to their telling. And the Mayans say that there were 4, and that we're literally going to be entering the 5th world. So at the end of the first age, we were destroyed by fire. So was there that comet that hit us 65 million years ago at the time of the dinosaur? Well, certainly that one did happen in the Yucatan, but there have been many other meteor hits and asteroid strikes creating catastrophic destruction in the tumultuous history of our planet. At the end of the second age, basically civilization was pretty much wiped away by ice, and we now know that they're glacial and interglacial ages, so this makes a lot of sense scientifically. In the third age, we have the story of the Great Flood, which is basically told by virtually every culture in the world. So we know this was a huge worldwide event. So now we're nearing the end of the 4th age. And how is it going to go? That's room for a much larger discussion that, believe me, I talk about in my many different seminars and programs. The 5th age, the good news is actually going to be called the age of illumination. So we're going into the light. We're moving up in frequency instead of moving down. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. Indian sages tell us that as our solar system moves around the galaxy, we move through these different ages. And they talk about them as yugas. So they talk about a golden age, which is the highest age, the silver, the bronze, and then the iron age. And let's look at it like this. It's the ascending and descending cycles of world consciousness. So here we are, we've been in the kind of the trash can down here in the Kali Yuga. And this is marked by superstition and ignorance. And certainly we had a lot of that during the Dark Ages, didn't we? The Bronze Age started coming in around 450, 500 years ago during the Renaissance. And this is marked by science and empirical observation, but not necessarily believing in a spiritual paradigm. The Silver Age, the Treta Yuga, is where we are right now. We're right on the edge between the bronze and the silver. This is marked by the awakening of our spiritual gifts, things like healing, telepathy, precognitive dreams, things that we've all had, but we're beginning to wake up to them, channeling. And then finally, there's the Golden Age, where we really become aware of our own divine nature, and we're living in much more conscious cultures. How does this all happen? Well, it's like a cosmic mechanism. So here's the galactic equator. And so during the course of 25,920 years, which is one of our other speakers spoke about a few minutes ago, we actually start here. And this is where we are right now. We move above the equator for roughly almost 13,000 years, 12,000 something years. And then we drop below the equator. So when Atlantis fell the last time, we were right here. And for the last 12,000 years, we've been below the equator. The good news is that we're coming up. And the mystery schools, of course, were set up to preserve the knowledge during this dark time and to transmit it so that hopefully as a species, we would not fall completely asleep. And we're in the process right now, of course, of waking up. And there's a lot to say about this subject. But basically, we're not parallel to the equator. We're at a 60-degree angle, our solar system. So we're crossing through what's called the dark rift. And somebody asked a question in the chat room about Cygnus. Cygnus is right here. It looks like a cross, and it's right here at the center of the dark rift. And there's actually a huge galactic explosion that's happening now. The last time that happened was during the golden age of Atlantis, 16,500 years ago to about 14,000 years ago. And so it's an explosion of awakening. And it's not just happening in our galaxy, it's happening in multiple galaxies. So these ages act like a giant cosmic clock, basically. And our frequency is actually determined by the way that our North Pole is pointing. Okay, when we are in a golden age, we're pointing towards the center of the galaxy. So it's like the rabbit ears on a television. You're getting a clear receiving from the signal from the great central sun. But as we move out of phase, the rabbit ears get turned. Here's the Silver Age, little static. Bronze Age, more static. Kali Yuga, a lot of static, to the point that we don't remember that we're divine beings, divine souls inhabiting a physical body. And this is one of the ways of looking at it. When we're pointing towards the center of the galaxy, our North Pole is pointing towards the star Vega. When we're pointing away, it's pointing towards Polaris. And over 25,920 years, we actually rotate like a top, much like a top that you would see throw on the floor. This is another way of looking at it, is that rotation happens. Here's Lyra, okay, and Cygnus, the swan, very important. So when we're aligned with the center of the galaxy, that's what's happened. But now we are here. And so we're in the slow movement all the way back up to here, which will be the next curve. So what does it mean to have an age? Each of these 12 astrological ages are roughly 2,160 years. Some of them are a little fatter, some of them are a little skinnier. Pisces is a very fat age. You can see Aries is a pretty short age. So what it means is that when we look out in the dawn horizon on March 23rd, the equinox, the spring equinox, what is the celestial backdrop behind the sun? In this case, it would have been the constellation of Leo, which is where it was 12,000 years ago, okay? In our case, of course, it's in a completely different place. We're moving into the age of Aquarius. So you can just reverse this. And the Sphinx has, of course, its tail pointed towards Leo, and it looks at the Eastern Dawn at Aquarius. And so these are two marker ages that are literally the horizontal bar of that up and down sine wave we looked at. So in the age of Cancer, which is a water sign, we were just recovering from the Great Flood, and there was water everywhere and major devastation. During the age of Gemini, writing was reinvented. Of course, we'd always had writing, but we had to remember it and begin to inscribe things in stone so that they would last. During the age of Taurus, there was a lot of building, a lot of the pyramids and things that we find in Egypt that have to some degree lasted were built in the age of Taurus. During the age of Aries, we had war, and more war. The Persian Wars, the Babylonian Wars, the Egyptians, the Hebrews, the Assyrians, Alexander the Great came up, the Roman Empire got started. It was a lot of war. And then the age of Pisces, we've been living through the last 2,000 years. And Jesus, of course, was the great avatar or aeon of light that came at the beginning of that age, who taught forgiveness and love. And of course, we're towards the end of that age, aren't we? So we are moving into the age of Aquarius. And when did that happen? Some people think it won't happen for another 60 years. However, the Theosophists say that we moved into 0 degrees of Aquarius in 1939. It takes 72 years to go 1 degree, and each sign has 30 degrees. So in 2012, we were in the very first year of 1 degree of Aquarius. So you can see what's happened in the last 70 or 80 years. I mean, it's been, the telephone, the telegraph, the automobile, the airplane, the fax machine, the cell phones. I mean, we've been going light speeds and lots of ET activity. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. So it's an age when the secrets of the cosmos open up to us again, and when our star brothers and sisters are returning, they come in at the end of these great ages to try to check on us and see how we're doing. Atlantis is a very big conversation. As I said on my website, TrishaMcCannon.com, I've got a whole 3-hour webinar on it that you can take. But basically, it went through at least 4 different incarnations. It was a big continent in the Atlantic from 100,000 to 52,000 years ago, when unfortunately they used an antimatter device and it broke up the whole continent into 5 big islands that were scattered through the Atlantic. Those 5 were up until 28,000 years ago, and then 2 of them went down. There were 3 up until 22,000 years ago, then they went down. And then the one we know about, which is Plato's story, is when the big island of Atlantis was still up 21,000 to 12,000 years ago. And there was a great golden age during that period. And you can sort of look at this and see this is 2 cycles of 25,000. This is one cycle, this is a quarter, and this is a half. So these movements, these galactic movements are important. And there were a lot of different phases in their development, just like there have been in ours. They're what we think of as the Greek or the Roman ages. And there were also ages of great scientific achievement and everything in between, which we don't have time for in this particular presentation. But like our own societies, they did achieve air travel and space travel. They had contact with extraterrestrials from Sirius, Andromeda, the Pleiades, the Orion system that we're visiting. They had advanced medical sciences, which is really amazing, where they worked with light and sound and frequency and healing in a way that we are only just beginning to think about. Unfortunately, the pharmaceuticals don't seem so keen on us learning to work with nature in this way. They worked with crystal technologies. That was one of the bases for their non-polluting power. They worked with sacred geometry, which we're only just rediscovering now in our time. They harnessed crystals and the electromagnetic energies of the earth, and they use these to power up their cities and to even run their vehicles, much as Nikola Tesla 100 years ago discovered that we could with certain antennas. So the obelisk and the pyramids became part of that worldwide technology that we are only now just beginning to try to discover how they were harnessing the electromagnetic energy field of the earth. And this grid was set up all over the planet with over 750,000 pyramids, and those we have discovered today with ground penetrating radar and with our satellite systems. They were built with male and female stones. Granite has crystals in it, and limestones is a feminine stone. So it was like a battery. Literally, it was a science. And today we call these, of course, sacred sites or ancient ruins, because we're still trying to understand what makes them so special. There were many, many of these pyramids, and a lot of them are still hooked into the Earth's geomagnetic field. They developed nuclear and atomic power. They became experts in DNA research and cloning and genetics, and unfortunately they misused this power. This was a power that they used to create hybrid animals as servants, which was not very good because, of course, souls have to inhabit these bodies, and they treated them badly. These are the satyrs and the fawns that we hear about. They treated them as servants. So these are some of the ways in which we unfortunately are repeating their mistakes. Are we competitive? Yep, we are. Are we warlike? Unfortunately, yes. That war seems to be part of the patriarchal version of reality that we've been living through. Do they have an overpopulation problem? Well, we have it, and they had it. Misuse of energy systems. We're not using crystals in quite the same way. We are using them in a safer way with, with cell phones and with computers. But we are unfortunately using fossil fuels, which is hurting the environment. Improper use of DNA research, a lot of this is kept hidden from the public, but yes, we've also done some of the same kind of terrible experiments that they did. Becoming steeped in materialism, yeah, we could say that. A devolution of sexual practices, yes. Pornography is rampant, and that takes our sacred sexual energy down. Science for science sake, yeah, of course. So for a long time, they really did hold a high consciousness, but towards the end, they fell into these same things that we've fallen into. Now, this is some of the good things that they were involved in that we are also involved in. Reawakening to our spiritual gifts again, absolutely. Healing, telepathy, and awakening heart consciousness, like this program that we're all participating in. Becoming aware of our space brothers and sisters, not with the 22 rifle out there as Bubba trying to shoot them down, but more curious, trying to learn from them. Exploring the heavens with our telescopes, absolutely. Discovering light and sound technologies, that has really taken off with fiber optics and other things that we've gotten from the ET spacecrafts. Awakening to sacred geometry and earth grids. Absolutely, this is one of the things that people like myself and William Henry and Andrew Collins and Christopher Dunn, we've all been exploring the connection between the heavens and the earth, the star alignments, and exploring universal consciousness again. So that was a very quick, condensed version of a really, really massively big conversation that obviously deals with where we're going in the future, galactic time, where we've been in the past, and how our space brothers and sisters are interested in helping us not have to be destroyed and start over, but rather to evolve this time and to move past this barrier that we seem like we've had such a hard time doing. This is my information, and I'm sure Deborah will probably put it up on the screen for you guys. But did I stay within my time? Yes, I just did. So
Amazing, Tricia. You did great. You did great. And I do want to let people know some ways that they can get more information from you. So first of all, tell us about the quest for the Holy Grail and the Grail Stone. What's happening there?
well, tomorrow, in fact, tomorrow I'm doing a 3-hour class. It's only $33 with Portal to Ascension, which is a wonderful company. You just go to portaltoascension.org and you'll find this and you can sign up. It's really taking a look at not only the Jesus and the Mary Magdalene bloodline, which I've written books about, but also about the white gold powder, about substances of immortality, about the starfire, about secrets that were hidden within the mystery schools that we are only now just discovering, about how to awaken our third eye and create more longevity. So that's tomorrow, East Coast time. It's 3 to 6. So Pacific time, it's 12 to 3. That will be tomorrow. And then next Saturday, there's a whole nother event where I'm speaking with a wonderful group of people. Again, Neil's putting this on. You can find it at portaltoascension.org. I'm speaking on the sacred temples of the goddess. So I'm talking about these hidden sacred sites that have been activated on the planet for thousands of years. And I've really, I can talk about this for 9 hours, but I'm only speaking for an hour on, and I've specialized really on 5 major goddesses. So we're looking at Sophia, Isis, Kuan Yin, White Buffalo Calf Woman, and Bridget. But there are other wonderful speakers. William will be on that. The White Lions from South Africa will be on that tomorrow. They kick the whole show off. These are very telepathic healing lions. I think some of the elders, Mayan elders and Native American elders will be, and I'm hoping that Neil will talk a little more about this tonight in the program because he's also a wonderful speaker.
Yes, Neil is going to talk about that. And I see that Deborah just put those links into the chat box. And again, for more Tricia McCannon, her website is her name, Tricia, Tricia, McCannon, McCannon.com. Tricia, this is, I think, the third time you've been, it's the third time you've been on our show. I know it's not going to be the last. Thank you so much for your wisdom. And you did it, gal. You kept it 14 minutes and 52 seconds, something like that.
You're an inspiration, Scott. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm going to put my picture up, but believe me, I'm going to be with you guys for most of the program because I want to hear some of the other speakers.
I know. And we got some great stuff coming up. So thank you.
Thank you.
Whew, boy, there's so much. Isn't it fascinating? Really interesting. And I do really want to encourage everybody to go to these other events that you're learning about. We're going to hear from Neil Gar, who does so many wonderful things through Portal to Ascension. We're going to see him in a little bit. So this is when we have what we call our mid-show announcements. And we really want to acknowledge and appreciate a lot of the people that really make this show happen. And I want to start by thanking our broadcast partners. And it's pretty cool. We keep adding more and more broadcast partners. So, first and foremost, I really want to thank Unify because that's really how we're reaching probably the most people right now. And right now, a lot of you are watching on Unify, and thousands will end up watching it overall. Really want to thank our friends John and Summer Reamer at the Sign Network that they do the sine waves that take us out to about anywhere from 50 to 75 different groups and pages. Some of you might be watching on Awake TV. Jay Mayer and Light Touch has been such an incredibly important part of our show. Jay has sponsored many of our shows. He's sponsoring next week's show and the December 26th show, and he's going to be sponsoring many shows in the new season. So thank you, Jay and Light Touch. Alan Steinfeld, our buddy with New Realities TV. He'll be, I know a lot of people watch us on his YouTube channel. You might be watching right now. Usually it's about 1,000 people. My company, Love Coach Academy, and we provide a lot of free shows every week, such as the one I'll do tomorrow morning with Michael Feely. I want to thank Earth Dance. They always carry us and they do great stuff. Humanities Team. This is one of our new broadcast partners and a wonderful organization. When they put together a virtual festival, that's really powerful. You've been hearing us talk tonight about Portal to Ascension. That's Neil Gar's organization that puts out great things, including what Tricia just told us about. And we'll hear more from Neil later today. Thank you to Adrian and Disclosure Fest and Chris Decker and Global Days of Unity and Earthwalk. We're going to be collaborating with Sadiq and this incredible group of people that he's putting together. They're doing a 10-day program starting on December 11th, and we're going to kick it off with the Love Coach Academy Straight Talk show, and it's going to include two of our shows. Our December 12th and 19th shows will be part of what they're doing. And then New Earth One, our newest broadcast partner. Really happy to have them on board. Thank you, everybody, for making this happen. We also talked about our sponsors, and it's great having sponsors, and I really appreciate it. And tonight's sponsor, who you're going to hear from in a moment, we're going to meet David Kaplan. We're going to learn all about his products. And he's got some really beautiful products through Divine Organics. And Divine Organics is, you're going to learn a lot more about it, but it's a wonderful organization. I just got to meet David this week, and I can't wait to try his nuts. That sounds kind of funny. I could get into trouble saying that. David, I dig your nuts. But it's going to be really wonderful to hear from David, and that's going to take place shortly. So finally, I just want to remind everybody, you can still come into the Zoom room. It's not too late. So for those of you watching on Facebook, go to globalpeacetribe.com and register. It's really, really easy. And it's great to have you come on into our Zoom room. And I see a lot of people are still coming. We still have well over 300 people in our Zoom room. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate our sponsors and our broadcast partners. And finally, most of all, those of you watching, those of you that are new, those of you that have been coming for many, many weeks. One last thing I want to say. We get emails a lot from people all over the world now who watch this show. And a lot of people, this is the highlight of their week. And so that's really meaningful to us, recognizing that so many of us have had these things taken away from us that we love. And so just want to say hello and thank you to everybody who takes the time to write us. And to those of you filling out the survey, that survey that Deborah's been putting into the chat box, fill it out because we're putting together our new season and we want to really take in your feedback. So thank you, everybody. And now I get to turn it over to Deborah.
Thank you, Scott. And I want to thank everyone who has been signing up and registering for the new season. So we can see you coming in, and I really appreciate that. We're going to keep posting those links in the chat box. And remember that you can give it as a gift, which I think is really cool. And thank you for your donations. Last week we posted our GoFundMe, and we got some great donations that helped us to really, go forward with this new season and put everything together that we did in the last week to be able to launch it now. So thank you. And we're going to put our GoFundMe in the chat room as well. If you want to just ping us some green love for the new season, just because we really appreciate that. And I want to let you know, that's our GoFundMe. You can go to GoFundMe and just type in globalpeacetribe.com. That's going to be our GoFundMe for anyone that wants to support what we're doing. And I want to make sure you know about our 3 last shows of the fall season in December, which are going to be really incredible again. And what happens is Scott and I take on some specific shows that we just love, and then we bring in other people to help collaborate. But I'd like to have Scott share this next show that we're going to be having next week, because he's really put his heart and soul into this one.
Oh, thank you, Deborah. And yeah, I got to say, I'm really excited about this show. It's called Relationship Mastery. And of course, my whole thing is teaching and learning about relationships. And we've got all these amazing couples who have combined long-term relationship with creative expression and their own spiritual practice. We've got Gay and Katie Hendricks. They literally wrote the book Conscious Loving. I met them 25 years ago. They're a beautiful couple, and they've been really paving the way for so many of us. Then we've got David Pramal and Miten, my wife who passed away, and I spent 3 weeks with them in India back in 2005. And they're an amazing couple. I'm sure all of you have listened to their music. They're going to be with us. And then we're bringing back Pato Banton and Antoinette Hall, amazing reggae stars. And they also combine their music with their creative and spiritual expression. And then in come the millennials, Trish Wright and Dawn Love, who teach self-love, and they're best of friends for 10 years, a different form of couple, platonic friends working together, collaborating. And then for music, we've got, of course, David Pramal and Miten they're going to play music. Pato and Antoinette are going to play music, as well as speak about how they are really masterful in relationship. And we've got Cornflower, one of our very favorite musicians, coming back. And then my good buddy, Greg Magic Bernstein, talking all about the importance of connection to source. And then we've got a brand new magician coming in, Chris Heron. I've been working with him this week, and he's going to do something very, very unique. So next week's show is going to be terrific, and I'm very excited about it. And now I'm going to turn back over to Deborah to just tell us a little bit about the final 2 shows of this year.
Thanks, Scott. So December 19th, we love to use the potent times on the planet to activate. And December 19th is right before the winter solstice. And this is going to be a big one. And the theme is Winter Solstice Activating the New World for 2021. We're going to feature Neil Donald Walsh. We have Starhawk joining us, Mirabai Devi, Elizabeth April, Guinevere Bridge. We're going to have the Stargate back with Prageet and Julianne. We're going to have an expert, Tony Procello, on the Course in Miracles, and many other amazing musicians. And more than ever, we're going to gather as a global family and really activate the power of the winter solstice portal now, which has a huge astrological configuration that we'll share all about on this show, and as a really powerful time for transition, especially with what we've all been going through and what we can create for our next season in this new birth. So it's going to be great. And then on December 26th, right after Christmas, we are going to share special moments of Saturday Night Alive. We're actually going to bring back some of the highlights of all the keynotes and special people with some live musicians. And Jay Mayer is going to be sponsoring that show. And Jay Mayer is also sponsoring the Relationship Mastery. So again, I want to totally honor and appreciate Jay for being there for us and helping us to bring these amazing shows. And also, just again, we are having a supporters party for those people that have donated a large amount through registration, and that will be December 17th. And there's our flyer there. We're going to have Pollyanna Bush. We're going to have Cornflower. We're going to have breakout groups. We're going to have fun. You can actually talk to us specifically and let us know what you want to see on the show. So those are for those that are giving us the bigger donations when they register above $75, or if you fill out the supporter form and you want to help us promote or volunteer or that type of thing. So thank you so much for helping us co-create this amazing adventure. And we're definitely going to go forward into 2021 and really take this to a whole new level. So appreciate it. Love you so much.
Thank you, Deborah. A lot's going on right now, and there's a lot of predictions around December 21st. From an astrological standpoint, it's when Jupiter and Saturn are conjuncting in a very rare way, a way that doesn't happen very often. I think it's like once every 80 years. And a lot of our Native American elders have been talking about how it's going to be a very, very powerful time. So I think we can all feel it, you know, and so that's why it's so good to come together in community and share in the magic, share in the excitement, share in the compassion, and continue to learn these amazing tools. Just like tonight, we're learning so much about these ancient times and how they impact us today and in the future.
You know, Scott, I would like to just say that Saturn and Jupiter conjuncted December 25th of 7 BC. And that is one of 4 major dates that I've looked at in terms of when Jesus was born. So I would not look at this as a disaster. I would look at this as a window where the Lord of Light, Jupiter, meets the Lord of Responsibility. Karma comes due in a good way. So it's like, it's a good thing, really. It's 2 great lords coming together, and it's magnificent, actually. So I wouldn't have any fear about it. It's not going to be a bad thing.
Thank you, Trisha, my fellow Capricorn. We both are going into Capricorn. She's a Capricorn.
You were born the 25th.
That's right.
I'm the 26th. So, hey.
So everybody, there's only about 22 more shopping days until our birthdays. All right. Thanks, Trish. I really appreciate that. Hey, it's time for some more magic. So here he is. Sean, I can't wait to see what you're going to do this time. And this time I'm going to leave me unmuted. So at least you can hear me gasping or laughing or being astonished.
Laughing, astonishment, all good things. So let's change it up a little bit. The nature of the medium, everybody wants to be muted, but this time I'd like all the panelists to unmute yourself so I could hear, not only can I see your reactions, but I'd like to hear your reactions in real time, just so I can feel like I'm actually at a show. Fair?
Yes, done.
Done? Okay, I'll wait till everybody unmutes yourself. Ready? Good, so we could have this interaction here. Okay, great. So, again, going back to the theme of ancient civilizations, probably one of the most important members of tribal societies was the ancient shaman. And I don't claim to be a shaman by any stretch of the means. I'm just a fantastic entertainer. I use my talents and skills to make people laugh and smile in times of darkness. And in my art form, in the magic industry, it's kind of the same way. We have mentors and we have elders that pass down knowledge to the younger generation. And to help remind me of one of the great elder magicians of the past, Harry Blackstone, which you can see right over here. It's a portrait there that I made that is just one of my magical heroes. And next to Blackstone is a magic wand. And with that magic wand, I'm going to show you how the magic is passed down. We're going to do a little magic to music. One, two. Watch the coins. From here to there. And back. That was fast. 1, 2 coins. There's another one. Right out in the air. Yeah, you know what that's called? That's called 17 years of practice and no social life. That's what that's called. 4 coins.
Whoa.
Now we're going to go back in time. Back to the moment where I only had 3 coins. We're going to go back even further, back to where I only had 2 coins. All the way back to just 1 coin. Now we go back to the very beginning, where I didn't have any coins at all. All I had was this magic wand to remind me of the ancients, the greats, the magicians of the past. Watch. And this is my tribute to the greats of the past. Harry Blackstone, look over there, it's back.
Whoa.
Maybe it's the spirit of Harry helping me out or something, I don't know. But I'll put that back where it belongs. Thank you, Harry. Now I've saved the best for last. We have time for one more here. This is my signature piece. It combines my love for music composition, sleight of hand, 3D printing, electronics, and all of that. And it goes something like this. As a magician and millennial, I'm constantly fascinated with new forms of technology. So keeping that in mind, I'd like to try to combine old technology with new technology. Let me show you what I mean. First, let's start with old technology. Now, thank you. Now we're gonna use some new technology. So is there somebody out there that has a smartphone that I could borrow? Oh, yes. Thank you so much. Now, as tempting as this may be, I'm not going to sit here and read all the text messages and do any of that. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to combine the old with the new. Watch. It's a little hot.
Whoa.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Now, technology can be quite addictive sometimes. Quite often, it's very easy for us to just sit there and stare at our phones. Speaking of which, let's take a selfie. Global Peace Tribe, Sean J, and that's enough. I'm a millennial, what can I say? Sometimes we need to do what's called a social media detox. You ever heard of that one? Sometimes we just need to take a break from it all. And we need to just stop and take a break from it every once in a while to enjoy that face-to-face human connection that we all love and enjoy. So you're probably wondering where the phone is, and I don't blame you. So in order to get the phone back, we must first examine the past. Then we must examine the present. And if we can combine the past and the present, we can get the future, which is the exact same phone right here, right now. That's how you combine old technology and new technology. Thank you very much. I'm Sean J. I hope you guys enjoyed.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. I've got to bring on all the people. I'm going to put it in the gallery because everybody just was so into this, and just beautiful. Absolutely, really, really fun. Hey,
Thank you.
Sean, I want people to know also that you've got a great website, SeanJMagic.com, and I'm going to
Got it.
start it because it's pretty alive. I had queued it up earlier, but there's
Thanks.
a lot going on. And Sean's been on Fox, ABC, NBC, Masters of Illusion. And when he's not performing or speaking at events, he uses his talents for 3D CAD design and
CAD design, yep.
right, to help world-class magicians and inventors in other industries create new products for the marketplace. So Sean J, you rocked it. And I sure hope you're going to come back and be with us again.
I would love to. That's the kind of review I like to hear. You rocked it. I'll take it. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody at the Global Peace Tribe. This was wonderful. Thanks for having me. I hope I brought some light to your world wherever you are watching through the magic of technology. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you, Sean. Oh boy, that's a hard one to follow, but I know that
I can do this at your next virtual event too. I do this at company events. You know, it gets boring just looking at a Zoom screen discussing crunching numbers all the time. You know, somebody's got to break it up.
Absolutely.
So, putting that out there.
So, but hire Sean for your next virtual event. All right. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you. Good night.
Deborah, the spotlight's on you.
Great. So now we get to introduce a very special man who's done a lot for the planet and a lot for us. David Kaplan is a magician of transition nutrition. He has created a raw superfood company that focuses on sourcing ingredients from around the world to help people make the transition from a regular diet to a high vibrational diet, while empowering themselves for more health and consciousness. So I've known David for a while and really respected this mission he has. He's created a gourmet superfood company that provides the finest organic, chemical-free, sustainable farm-grown superfoods. And he goes around the world finding these foods and getting the highest quality. And this is so important at this time because our food supply has a lot of chemicals, is denatured, and we're not sure what we're getting. But with what David's providing, these are very much delicious, high vibration superfoods. And so Scott, can you show that video that shows David and his what he shares around that? Thank you.
Here it is.
So here we are in the Philippines. We just got in. It's been raining pili nuts from this 50-year-old pili tree. Here we have some beautiful pili fruit, and within them is the hard kernel. So for you people that don't know much or anything about pili nuts, they're really a super delicious and nutritious, soft, buttery nut that can also be made crispy through dehydrating or roasting. Pili nuts also are said to contain the most healthy fat of any nuts on the planet. So this exotic, erotic fruit from the Philippines is one of the highest nuts in heart-healthy fats of any nut on the planet. It's a perfect ketogenic snack, and the flavor and taste is like a cross between a pine nut, a pecan, and a Brazil nut. What we're doing, this is the next step in the process. We are drying the pili, the hard shell pili nuts, and we have to just toss them around, you know, so they're moved around so they get good airflow. And this process continues for 3 days. and then they're ready to be cracked and the kernel taken out. So this is a very important step going on for 3 days till we get the moisture content out and the shells drier so they can be cracked more easily. We're now cracking the hard-shelled peely to reveal the treasure. These little brown skin, soft, tasty nuts, which can be used in a myriad of different culinary dishes. From here, you could go further and take the brown skins off and make very light-colored nut butters and nut milk. Delicious stuff here.
Peely nuts, they're so yummy.
And addicting.
You just want to stack up.
And never run out.
Well, thank you, David. And I'd love to bring David on now and share a little bit more about his products.
Hey, Deborah.
All right. Hey, David.
Aloha.
So you've been on the forefront of the superfood movement when I found out it was something that was hitting the collective when superfood became a big thing years ago, but I think you've probably been into it for a long time. So tell us more about how you got into it and what this superfood phenomenon is really about.
Well, it's been a while. I had almost a fatal encounter back in '74. I lost all the blood in my body, had a near-death experience, and it was raw living foods that saved my life. So about 17 years ago, I started Transition Nutrition, and our main brand is Divine Organics. And it's really about, putting high frequency living foods into your body. Our motto is life from life, energy from energy. So the more living food you put in your body, the more life you're adding to your being, which makes it easier to raise your awareness, consciousness, and be healthy with a good immune system.
Beautiful. That's really what we're about on this show, is really raising our consciousness frequency and operating at a really high level. So this is really important. And I'm assuming this is really important now. As I shared before, the foods that we get in our normal food chain isn't quite the quality or the vibration or the high life that we really need to be sustainable. And maybe that's why we have all this disease in our culture and so on. Can you share more about that?
Well, that's very true. We've been conditioned and programmed to eat dead food and, fast food. And this will, bring us to, a lower state of vibration, usually, and, make us susceptible to all kind of disease. And in the world today, with all the pollution of the air, the water, the soil, we better do everything we can to, help the ecology of the planet and ourselves, and, support our immune system. And, I feel it's very important also to eat, from the garden of the planet, rather than, slaughtering animals that are our younger brothers and sisters, which could cause us extra karma, extra pain and suffering, especially in the last days of our life. So, raw living organic food, to me, vegetarian, vegan, is most important and critical at this juncture in history on this planet. So
Totally. And they're yummy as well. They're really good. Can you share some of the products that you have available? And the pine nut, I think, is one of your new products.
the peely nuts, yes.
Peely nut.
Peely nuts are trending right now because they're a very exotic nut. They're a soft nut. They're the highest in heart healthy fats, magnesium, vitamin E, and people love them, especially flavored or turned into a creamy, delicious nut butter that puts Nutella to shame. So as you could see, we have a bunch of flavored ones and the Peely nut butter, which is amazing. Besides that, you know, as Scott was joking, many people say we have the best nuts because I travel around the world looking for these premium, high quality raw nuts because that was part of my original diet that saved my life. And besides the greens, I got all my protein from mainly nuts. And we do some incredible hand-cracked raw Indonesian cashews, some incredible organic Hawaiian macadamia nuts, these organic Peely nuts, princess pistachios, which are one of my favorites also. And then we do coconuts. We actually introduce fresh frozen coconut water to Harmless Harvest about 7-8 years ago, and they exploded with that, you know, delicious Thai coconut water. We were one of the first to introduce the Himalayan crystal salt back in '03, and that has really taken off. Also Irish sea moss, which is very good for the body's immune system, digestive system, respiratory system. Our Bliss Mix, we love making up this mix for all our friends and family, and that's something that's really appreciated and loved, won a couple of awards. And yeah, my dad was in the food business for 40 years, so I grew up turning people on to, you know, some of the best foods that, you know, you could find anywhere. So it's been a long kind of odyssey or journey.
Thank
Let
you.
me
Thank you
show
so much, David. Thank
show
you
a
for
few
your
of them.
service.
Yep,
Yeah,
you're
and you
very
can
welcome.
you can
And-
get
and
these
thank-
products at Thrive Market, which is an online supermarket of all these kinds of incredible foods. And I've also posted David's website there too, so you can go directly to his website. So you'll see the links in the chat room and there. So thank you, David, for this incredible service to us right now
I
of getting out these
mentioned
incredible
one more
Okay.
thing.
Uh-huh.
Forgot to mention the new brand Lava, which just came out recently. It's really based on Peely nuts, and there's an incredible yogurt being made from the Peely nuts, as well as a Peely nut milk and a Peely nut creamer under the brand Lava, Lavva. It's in all the Whole Foods, a lot of Safeways, Targets, and other box stores, so it's easy to find, and incredibly delicious stuff that is addicting.
Great. Thank you so much, David. Thank you for coming on and
Well,
sharing your
thank you,
amazing
Deb.
food.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Jiraiya, and all the other panelists. Much love, and stay connected and protected.
Thank you, David. You know, David talked a lot about how this is good for families, and I have been so enjoying watching the iStar family, including your daughter, especially during the magic acts. It was really, you know, wonderful to watch your reactions. Anyway, it's time for some music. Let's get it going. Take it away, iStar.
Man, what a great show. Thank you guys so much. And big shout out to David. We just finished some of that Lava Peely nut yogurt.
We love that.
And you know, Shariah actually and David and others greatly inspired us a handful of years ago when we were in LA, and this beautiful lady started up her own superfood chocolate business, and I'm going to do a shameless plug for Silver Moon Chocolate. And you can order all the amazing stuff. She and her Oompa Loompas hand make everything. Lots of superfood organic goodness.
Also, I've made chocolate caramel
lollipops by myself.
Yes, and we have a 7-year-old chocolatier who's working on training. Yes, she's Ms. Wonka. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Oh, right on. Anyway, all right, we got another song for you guys, and what's that?
The many hats we wear.
Indeed, just keep switching the hats. This song is called All Eyes, and
I'm in this video.
and Percy's in this video. She's on the track too. It's on our new album, a remix.
As I crawl across the lavender desert, my calendar measures exquisite passages of lunar poetry in a valley of ashes where my fallen shadow grows its rosary. I am MC cubed, explosively extraordinary emotions held in focus with totems that inconsolably tear into tatters. Banners of charters born in hypnosis, approach with the proper proportions. Chakra contortionists assume kata pose, contain new coordinates. Courses preset, deleted pretext promotes complete quest, anonymous force, family of common source, clause subordinate to succulent kisses, releasing succubus's corsets from the orbiting grip of corporate warships. I'm a Rorschach, slipping into the doormat of vortexes. Kundalini, holy grail, spilled in my solar plexus. Well connected to the fountain of youth. Peak to peak, cop scotch on these mountains of truth. The sound of holy ground, pound in the roof. Pegasus thunder, lightning bolts on each of his hooves, flying on hunger. He dive bombs in dumpsters, contracting salaries of calories, exhausted by the driving rolls, plundering in slumber. Loaded dreams that lumber on the dawn skies, awaking energies that wonder what they're drawn by. Like dragonflies in the hands of a master draftsman with zero enemies, when they see the world through all eyes. All eyes, can you see the world through all eyes? All eyes, can you see the world through all eyes? All eyes, can you see the world through all eyes? All eyes, all eyes, I can see the world through all eyes. All eyes, I can see the world through all eyes. All eyes, if you see the world through all eyes. All eyes.
Weaving our hearts into a great tapestry of love. Threads of light so bright to put them cool, uncover the dirt, lift the veil, peel away the layers, reveal God just prevail. Magical wisdom of ancient blood, remembering this, the reason of every new blood. Clarity is faculty, intuition rising, sisterhood lightning is those who are called in to ring the bell, come through the door, lay down your weapons, be not frightened anymore. This is family dance. Unity, peace in our hearts, how we start to create, elevate in a world in which we choose to live sacred, free, create.
We all eyes.
All eyes, can you see the world through all eyes? All eyes, can you see the world through all eyes? All eyes, can you see the world through all eyes? All eyes, all eyes, I can see the world through all eyes. All eyes, I can see the world through all eyes. All eyes, if you see the world through all eyes. All eyes.
Sight beyond sight,
Shine with the white light into the dark night. Now make my heart bright. Sight beyond sight. Shine with the white light into the dark night. Now make my heart bright. Sight beyond sight. Shine with the white light into the dark night. Now make my heart bright. Sight beyond sight. Shine with the white light into the dark night. Now make my heart bright.
oh, 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 oh. How many eyes do you use to see? Some people say two, some people say three. But if we want to unite and uplift humanity, we all gotta use our compassion and empathy. Like I look through your eyes, you look through my eyes. We look through her eyes, his eyes, their eyes, all eyes. All eyes.
All eyes, all eyes, all eyes, all eyes, all eyes, all see the world through all eyes. All eyes, we can see the world through all eyes. All eyes, we see the world through all eyes. All eyes.
You guys are awesome. Thank you. So again, we can go learn all about them by going to istarvision.com. istarvision.com. And also, how do people get the chocolates?
Silvermoonchocolate.com.
Silvermoonchocolate.com. Started in Topanga, which I lived in Topanga for 6 years. So all good things that come from Topanga. Thank you both so much. You guys are wonderful. This is your third time on our show, and I know it won't be our last. Thanks so much.
Beautiful.
Okay, take it away, Deborah.
Thanks, Scott, and thanks, iStar. Awesome. And now we get to dive deep again into this amazing topic where we've gotten so much information and insight. We get to bring you Brad Olson, who has another deep, passionate expert and researcher on this topic. He's authored 9 books, including 2 in his esoteric series, Modern Esoteric and Future Esoteric. He's an award-winning author, a public speaker, a radio show host of the Esoteric Circle. He's a book publisher, event producer. He does keynote presentations at all kinds of conferences. He's been at Contact in the Desert, 5D events, many things. And he's also a producer. He produces his own festival called How Weird Street Fair in San Francisco. And I've known him in community for many years, and I deeply respect his work. So thank you, Brad, for coming on the show with us and sharing us on this important topic for tonight.
Well, thank you, Deborah and Scott, for having me. This is a great honor and privilege to be able to present in this forum, which I've seen grow from the beginning of the lockdown. And it's really what people need and a great way to spend a Saturday night when we can't go out too much anymore. So thank you guys for bringing this all together. It's been really wonderful to see it grow and finally to have a chance to be a part of it. Well, when I heard you were doing History's Mysteries, it occurred to me that this is one of the great esoteric subjects in the world today. So many things that we have taken for granted or thought we knew all about, such as our human origins, is now being rethought and reevaluated. Things are getting a lot older. Everything is getting dated much older, from the megaliths, which I'll talk about in a minute, to the skeletons and giants. And picking up where Tricia McCannon left off, it's so great to be here with so many of my colleagues from the conference circuit. See you guys all here presenting live. I too could probably go for 2 or 3 hours on this subject, but to keep it brief is the name of the game here. Let me just start with a quote that I think we all know from the Bible in Genesis 6:4. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. The same became mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. So this is referring to the giants in the Bible. And there are many implications of what this means, as well as references in Genesis, which tells us the history of our planet. It should be noted that before Schielman discovered the city of Troy, that was thought to just be a legend. When it was discovered in the 19th century, we all come to realize that the Homer Odysseys were based on facts. And I think more and more so, we're starting to see that many stories like from the Bible are also coming true. That being the most fascinating to me are these epic tales of the men of renown, these giants who have been dug up around the world. Now, Trish talked about Atlantis, and it could be that they were very human-like, very much like us, hard to even distinguish in a crowd. But even older than that, all the way back to the first root race, which was discussed by Helena Blavatsky, where there were 5 root races that lived here on Earth, the first being the Hyperboreans. And some of these giants that are being discovered are so huge, so massive, and so old that when they're discovered, they can just disintegrate right on the spot. I just got copies of my new book, Beyond Esoteric, this week. So unfortunately, the bio you heard is now 10 books, and the third and final in the series is right here. Fortunately, I got it in time, and I can show some pictures. So in the bottom here is a picture of one of the Hyperborean giants, they think, being found in Romania. So massively huge. It just defies our perspective of what a human-like creature could be on this planet, or a very different kind of species altogether. These being the oldest ones, and then you also have these cone-headed creatures that have been dug up quite extensively, not only here in North America and out here in California where I'm at, but also around the world. Down in South America, which I just had a great honor of traveling with Brian Forrester and Nassim Harriman and the Resonance Academy 2 years ago. And also that trip took me down to Antarctica. And as far as I know, I'm the only researcher who's gone down there to look at some of these claims about what might be happening in Antarctica. So it's quite an honor for me to have that experience and bring it to you here in the capacity of History's Mysteries. So when we were in South America, kept going to many of these ancient sites in the Sacred Valley of Peru, to Cuzco, to Tiwanaku in Bolivia. And in all these locations, they have found these elongated skulls. And what's so fascinating about these is they just have a much bigger head than we do. Even the Star Child skull that Lloyd Pye was taking around to conferences, a much larger cranial capacity. Now, we all know from reading in National Geographics how heads can be bound and boards can be put on them, and you can reshape a cranium fairly easily, especially from a young age. But one thing you cannot do is literally add cranial capacity, just add more to the back of the skull. And that's what we find with these elongated skulls, that they have 30% larger cranial capacity than modern humans do. So this brings up many questions. First of which is larger head, larger body, quite likely so. So are we talking about the giants of old, the men of renown? Quite likely so. Maybe we found them. Some of these aren't that old, though, while others are quite old. Some of these cone-headed creatures, and the new name is Homo capensis. And this is the new genius of human-like creatures who are being discovered here on Earth. This is so interesting because now we have seen the whole evolutionary tree expand to include new branches of humanity. And I should point out, it's not just very, very large human-like giants that have been found recently, but also dwarf figurines, dwarf human-like creatures on the island of Flores in Indonesia. And these dwarf-like humans were only 3 foot tall at the very highest that they would grow. So about the size of a gray alien. So now that we're rethinking history and looking at its great mysteries, we can come to see that many of these giants that have been uncovered are also being found at some of these locations that hold sacred places. And the mound sites here in North America, very enigmatic and very similar to the mound sites of Europe. Here's one in Kentucky, which quite looks like Silbury Hill, not far from Stonehenge. So a lot of these mysteriously megalithic sites, the larger they are, they're even called Cyclopean architecture for the massive size, because when they were first discovered, a lot of people associated them with giants. Cyclops was the one-eyed giant of the Homer Odysseys. So taken together, finding these elongated skulls at some of these megalithic sites, from Sacsayhuaman above Cusco to the Sacred Valley south of Cusco, to a whole museum in Paracas, Peru, that has them on display, as well as smaller museums in the Sacred Valley. You have a rethinking of our suppressed human origins, and that is a chapter in my new book, Beyond Esoteric: Escaping Prison Planet, because I really think these are esoteric subjects, and people really do need to realize that we have this legacy on Earth, which also includes these megalithic sacred places that in almost every instance, the native people would say that we didn't build those, such as the great megaliths in Peru and Bolivia, that they predated the Incans. And indeed, you can see sometimes architectural additions were added, whereas you have the oldest stones, the megalithic stones that have these most unusual fits, so perfect you can't even put a piece of paper or a credit card in there. And they defy our knowledge of quarrying stone and fitting them so expertly. So while we were on this trip in South America, Brian Forrester, Sim Harriman, his new physicist, all of this was being called into question, such as how these megaliths could be built in such a way that they could be formed so perfectly without any chisel marks. And again, being in this area where these giant skulls were found. So I know it's a short little excerpt of history's mysteries, but I hope you guys find this interesting, that the farther back we look, the bigger and more perfect the megaliths are, and they're oftentimes found with the remains of giants found nearby there. And I think I just made it to the 11-minute mark, and I thank you guys so much for having me on, and would
Brad,
like
there's so much more that you have to offer. So I've pulled up what you sent us, and of course you mentioned Beyond Esoteric: Escaping the Prison Planet. Now, can people buy your book by going to your website?
They can, and this is the first week I've had these books. I got the advance review copies, but they will be in Amazon and Barnes & Noble by next week. So if it's more convenient to get it that way, that's fine. But if they come through CCC Publishing, that comes through my office, and I'm able to send out signed copies for people.
Nice. So that's an important thing to know, is that we get signed copies by going through cccpublishing.com, or also to bradolson.com, where they find it there as well.
That will redirect them to the shopping cart on cccpublishing.com, where currently that's the one and only place to get them. It's actually a 2021 title. We just have the copies a little bit early and just in time for this show and the Christmas season. So
that's right.
But I have a great present. Here you go.
Brad, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. I really enjoyed it and learned so much from your other guests, and was thoroughly entertained by the magicians and the musical acts as well. So you guys did a great job.
Thanks. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Yep.
All right. Well, I get to introduce you to somebody you may have seen before in our show. He's a really important member of our community. I'm talking about Neil Gar, who has created and keeps Portal to Ascension going. His Portal to Ascension conferences are just fantastic. And we're going to learn again a little bit more. You've heard Trisha talk about them, William Henry talk about them. But guess what? Not only does he put together great events, previously live, now virtual in this current era of COVID, but the dude can rap. And so I'm going to turn it over to Neil Gar, who's got a very special something to share with us. Take it away, Neil.
Brother, thank you, Deborah. Scott, thank you, everybody. So awesome to be here. I do want to take us on a journey through the spoken word into our ancient history, our galactic history, up until maybe the present timeline, maybe until like around 325 AD.
Neil, your volume's a little low again. So
check. How about this?
There you go. Thank you very much.
All right. So I was saying I do want to take us on a journey through spoken word from our galactic history before time even existed to the moment, till this current evolution, but more like after around 325 AD. So we're going to have a beautiful journey through words. But firstly, I want to tell you a little bit about Portal to Ascension. I do have 8 minutes, so I'm going to give you a 1 minute little thing right here. And Scott, if you could share the screens for the events I'm about to talk about, we're going to just plug really quick again. Trisha McCannon's webinar is tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific from 12 to 3 on Portal to Ascension. And if you do not know about us, we are a conscious event production company. At this point, create around 110 events a year. Almost every weekend this entire year, we've had a conference or a workshop. And this is one with Trisha McCannon coming up tomorrow. The truth of the quest of the search for the Holy Grail and the Grail Stone. It's going to be epic. And then the following week, we have Sacred Sites and Ceremonies online conference. And this is a new kind of new journey for myself where I'm collaborating with Sacred Stories to create this amazing conference. And if you could share that page too, Scott, where we have an all-day event on 12/12/2020. So December 12th, 2020, we have 6 presentations and 8 sacred ceremonies. The amount of areas that are represented there is a lot, and there's going to be some amazing information. We have it set up like this: ceremony, presentation, ceremony, presentation. The presentations will be on the sacred sites, and the ceremonies will be from indigenous people all over the world, facilitating these sacred ceremonies, activating the grid lines of Earth. And I'm just going to read this paragraph here about what you're going to experience on it. We're going to begin at the epic center of our Earth in South Africa, home to the White Lions and where the legend tells the place where the Star Lions came down. Next, we will anchor in the goddess energies with Trisha McCannon, honoring goddesses from the 4 corners of our Earth. Continue with us to explore sacred Egyptian mysteries with William Henry of the Tree of Life. Then we're going to go to the Pyramid of the Sun in Mexico, where humans became gods. Travel to Lake Mungo, Australia, home of the oldest living culture on Earth, and complete our world tour at the temples of humankind in Damanhur, Italy, where 4 synchronic energy lines intersect and travel through our sun to connect us with the universe. So if you want to check that out, Deborah is going to go ahead and post in the room right now. Please do go ahead and sign up for the event. It's going to be a great fun. And then our last event I want to mention is the day after that, one day after that, is the Psychedelic Awareness and Plant Medicine online conference, 100% free. You can register by donation if you would like to. There's only 6 people on the flyer, but we actually have 9 people. Everything from plant medicine can affect your DNA and your genetics, to the decriminalization of psychedelics and entheogenic fungi and plants all over the US right now. 100 cities had it on the ballot this year to decriminalize. Many of them did. All the way to the indigenous wisdom and testimonials from the audience, who are going to also be partaking in this and interacting, giving us testimonials of life-transforming experiences with psychedelics. That's the next day afterwards, so please do join us. All right, so now I'm going to go into some spoken word here. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to start when time didn't even exist. And then we're going to go into the incarnation of Earth and coming here, and the illusion of linearity, and then follow the bloodlines from the Anunnaki and the ancient gods to now. And I do have entire ballads, 10-minute long, 3,000 word ballads on the Anunnaki, Atlantis, Sirians, the Lyrians, Pleiadians, galactic history. So what I've done here is I pieced together many different poems to kind of give you that journey. So here we go. In the beginning, there were no words, no concept, no winning, no place, no time, no description, no label, and no finishing, until awareness became conscious of itself, separation from the source, no east, no west, no south or north. Not to mention, there never existed a dimension or ascension or physical lessons except for the 0 point. There was no Christ to anoint. Singularity, energy, frequency, raised vibrationally, paradoxically into limitation only the 5 senses can see. No linearity, no anarchy, no galaxies, no nebulae, no jobs, no nature, no materialism, no political lies, until darkness finally fragmented from the light, using free will to see through the night. You see, there is no time. The universe is my calendar. Only the perception of mind and humanistic creation of the divine, the ones from the heavens, came down to earth. I was here in the beginning, I will be here until the end. When the universe freezes over, the stars so far apart, and the dark matter is overcome by the dark energy, and solar systematic mentality is minimal in these galaxies. But actually, only 100 years to pass before an opening in the door, a crack in the floor, death, pain is purely mental, keeping us from fearing to move on into another dimension, into another universe. It will not end. It will keep going on. Use the multidimensional spirit to travel to the endless depths of space. The flat planes of the constellations are an illusion. Shifting of stars erase the superficiality of another's face. Relative of distance, the bending of time, erase the word for about apprehension. Platonic shift, and humans will finally find themselves falling into a black whirl of fire, energy, nothingness, the anti-level, sucked down with the gravitational pull, eventually releasing us into another plane out of a white hole. But I don't know if you've noticed, but time has slowed down. Or is it our perception of the now? Creating ripples, overcoming obstacles, abundance flows, the end is close, which only means there's a new beginning, spinning like a black hole's event horizon as my chakra points awaken and widen, a solar flare that inspires all men and women to inhale, inhale, inhale the ether into each of the pores inside of my physical cells that rely on oxygen and a natural amount of rest. I will forever rhyme until I take my last breath. You see, time has slowed down. Or is our perception of how? We exist in a matrix of disavowed humans searching for the next cash cow. I'm the sacred cow, worshipped at the top of the mound, spinning around, milk and honey to those who hear the sound, as your chakra points awaken and your soul is found. Sun gaze to receive praise from this maze we find ourselves in, to the collective cellular membrane ancestry passed down to your kin. DNA strands unwind and bend and dissipate upon death. I will forever rhyme until I take my last breath. And as I come down to earth, I realize that we are all here now. From another place in time, we alter space-time, travel to this world to find resources to save God kind, higher dimensional beings imitating the divine radiant shine, golden deceptions and lies, repeated mutations, attempts and tries, spiral helix unraveled, generations have cried, countless humanoids have died, experimentation of mankind. Dismissed and forbidden knowledge denied, genetically created with fire in a test tube for those dimensionally higher can incarnate, eat, live, and perspire. Indentured servants, we're programmed and we're wired to serve those that came from the sun, to mine our minds and minerals in the name of the one. We were all victims to the illusion. But the overlords are now here. The watchers through generations persevered to take control of time. The elitist bloodline rules by fear. Now you know the truth. It's time to listen and hear the frequency of earth from which life gave you birth. Which life gave you birth. Life gave me birth. And it started with Mesopotamia and the sons of God, who are the lower tier of the divine interdimensional beings in ancient Sumer. We were created from, genetically mutated from, Proto-Pro-Magnum, almost as if overnight. I speak of the old ancestry, the wormhole which we were given air to breathe and limited mental capacity. The daughters of men, the Nephilium. Who could we be? We're made in the image of the Anunnaki, retreated back over the Black Seas and left a Masonic breeze to sweep over the planet to reinsure the incarnation of unwilling souls, to be ripped out from the Federation of Galactic Black Holes and instant travel between dimensions. The stones became the Freemasons. The Vatican, an organization of Hitler and his men, is the simplest skull and bones. They think they've always had control. They think they always had control. Last one. Now we're at 325 AD. Now we're at the Constantine bloodline and the manipulation through the Council of Nicaea with the Gnostic text, taken parts of the gospel and created their own Bible in their own image, based on their own time, based on the hierarchy that existed on earth. The sun stops. On the 22nd, it dies in the skies, reflects over oceans. He walks on water. Didn't you see him telling me how to be like he lived? He died for us, but there's no such thing as us. There's only one covenant. Feel me, show me, teach me. Since 325 AD, Constantine proclaimed himself a part of divinity, manipulations of Christianity, political organizations created order from anarchy, making us believe there's only one way to breathe and conform to society, placed me at the bottom of the elitist hierarchy. The pyramids created by the Anunnaki, climbing the Tower of Babel to reach God. Why did you leave us here? We're not separate at all. It's all crystal clear. Human flaws portrayed in our concept of divinity. Is politics intertwined with spirituality? Is politics intertwined with spirituality? And if I can do 20 seconds just to end it off on a high vibe note. Meditate and levitate. Waves of frequencies resonate higher. I'm connected to the provider, source of cosmic energy. We're going to be one single entity, expansion remedied. Oneness must breathe, exhale and let free. Consciousness to be, experiences of you and me. Souls of interdimensional beings to feel, hear, and see this third-dimensional planetary existence. All time can be found in one instance. In this realm of linearity, atoms and anarchy, quantum polarity, the epitome of creation. Facing our egos, acquiring patience, waiting to let go of our nations and join the federation of souls that will take us to the fifth world. Thank you all so much. Love you. Please do check out my, I've recently been taken off a couple of social media platforms. So please do check out my Instagram, instagram.com/MC_resonance. So oops, I just posted my lyrics accidentally in there, but I'm going to post my link to my Instagram. Please do check out instagram.com/MC_resonance, and then go to our website if you want to look at different events we do. Check out my about page too. I appreciate you all so much. I'm going to be dropping an album sometime next month. I'm creating all my tracks right now, making my studio, setting everything up. So also stay tuned for that. Love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. And again, you're going to find all of this at portaltoascension.org. That's a .org, portaltoascension.org, and all the amazing things that Neil is doing. And thank you for sharing the history of the world in 6 minutes, whatever it was, of spoken word. That's pretty amazing how you do that, buddy. I want to share one thing that I actually haven't done before in all the time that I've been hosting this show. And that is I'm going to be teaching a workshop next Saturday. It's a 4-hour workshop. And I want to share it with all of you for a moment because it's about probably one of the most difficult things that happens. And that is how we can really merge in relationship, come together, because it feels so good to come together, but then not to get lost in toxicity, not to get lost in codependence. And look, we've all been in codependent, enmeshed relationships. It's part of our evolution. It's part of our experience. And I sure have. And I've learned a lot. And in the 20 years that I've coached over about 1,000 couples now, I've learned a lot of tools. And so my teaching partner, Trish, and I are going to be teaching this workshop. We've taught it 3 times in the last 3 months, mostly for online festivals. And the response has been amazing. People have said, oh my God, that changed our life. So we decided to do one publicly, open to the public. If you want more information on it, Deborah's putting the link into the chat box. You can also private message me on Facebook. I'm pretty good about checking private messages. We're limiting it to a small number of people so that we can really kind of go deep, but it's going to be very tool oriented, teaching tools to really go from how to merge, how to manage setting boundaries in a compassionate way. And it's going to be deep and dynamic. And so I hope some of you might join us. Okay, thank you for that. All right, it is time for some more music. And once again, I'm really grateful that we've got Queen Wah with us. She's so cool. Wah, take it away. It's all yours.
Thank you. I've heard a lot of math from the speakers about sacred geometry and ancient civilizations. So this mantra has 9 syllables, and you can just receive it as a code. So you can join in and sing if you like, but you can also just allow those 9 syllables to regenerate the body, regenerate the cells. This is the mantra for green Tara. tari turi sva. Tari turi sva.
Wow. Just want us to kind of breathe that in for a moment, and I'm going to her website, wahmusic.com, WAHMUSIC.com. Wah, tell us, your music obviously is so beautiful, but I'm really curious about your self-care class. Tell us a little bit about that.
Self-care is a series of cards and activities that you can do in order to improve your health and your mood. And so people just said that I was too intellectual and that my trainings were too hard. And so we created a card deck, and it's more like a game now. I'm working with teenagers, I'm working with medical professionals, first responders, nurses, counselors all over the world. Our next training is in January. So we're trying to give people tools that they can do in 3 minutes or less. Tapping and massage and tapping your thymus, and what I would consider are the wisdoms that we've received from the ancient civilizations, in this case yoga, traditional Chinese medicine, and Ayurveda.
Beautiful. Thank you. Well, I'm going to go back to the website one more time. So she's got the self-care deck, and she also just, hey, license WA, add her music to any number of all of our various projects that we do. So, thank you so much for being on the show. This is your second time with us, and I hope you come back again in our winter season.
Thank you so much. It's really beautiful to share higher energy in this way. I don't know how I would have made it through the lockdown without community. Thank you so much.
God bless you. Thank you. All right. And to introduce our last speaker, all the way from Bosnia, Deborah, tell us about Dr. Sam.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, we have one more amazing speaker, very experienced and expert in this subject we're hosting tonight, coming from Bosnia. And I think at least some of us have heard about the Bosnian pyramids, which he is an expert on. He's an anthropology professor, and he's a scientist, megalith, pyramid sites researcher. He's internationally acclaimed businessman, and he has discovered the Bosnian pyramids and underground tunnel network. And he also holds a PhD in Mayan pyramids. He's the author of 18 books, and we're so happy to have him right now. This is Dr. Sam Osmanagic. Thank you, Sam, for being with us tonight. Need you to unmute.
Hi, I'm happy to be here, and good morning from the Bosnian pyramids. It's 6 a.m. here in Bosnia in Southern Europe. You see, almost everything they teach us about the ancient history is wrong. The origin of man, civilizations, and pyramids. Man is not a product of evolution, but genetic engineering. Civilizations cannot started just 7,000 years back, but the first documented civilizations go back 273,000 years and 500 years back from Sumerians. And finally, the pyramids have not been built only in Egypt and Mexico, but on all continents. In the last 15 years, I've been running the groundbreaking work at the Bosnian pyramid sites. This is the first case where the non-profit, non-government foundation has been running such a large archaeological project. So far, we have discovered 6 pyramids, which we named the Bosnian Pyramids of the Sun, Moon, Dragon, Earth, the 6th pyramid, and Pyramid of Love. 3 major pyramids, Sun, Moon, and Dragon, form equilateral triangle, the perfect geometrical shape. And under the Valley of Pyramids in Bosnia, we have huge network of underground tunnels, and so far we have discovered 6 entrances to those tunnels. So far we have 2 levels of the tunnels, and we have cleared and secured for visits more than 2 miles of those prehistorical tunnels. Why is this discovery important? The first pyramids in Europe, the largest on the planet, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, is 2 times higher than the Great Pyramid of Egypt. The pyramids in Bosnia are covered by soil and vegetation. The same case like 250 pyramids in China, or more than 100,000 pyramids in Central America, the countries of Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Belize. Next, the main feature of the pyramids in China, Egypt, Peru, or Indonesia, and Cambodia is their perfect orientation to the cardinal points, east, west, north, south. The Great Pyramid of Egypt has an error from the cosmic north for 0 degrees and 3 minutes. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and only 12 seconds. When we started uncovering the pyramids in Bosnia, under 4 feet of soil, we discovered rectangular and square blocks. We analyzed them. It was an ancient concrete. Some people call it geopolymer concrete, some people synthetic concrete. And it was 2 or even 3 times harder, better quality than what we can make today in the 21st century. And finally, the age. Based on radiocarbon dating that we discovered on the Bosnian pyramids, the age is 29,200 years plus minus 400 years. So all the history books will have to be rewritten. But the most exciting stuff are just coming. We were the first one to scientifically prove that the pyramids were not built as tombs for the pharaohs, for one dead body, but as huge energy machines. When you build 4-sided pyramid and perfectly oriented, it starts to amplify the energies, the natural sources of energy. Below the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, we have a huge iron plate. Iron generates electromagnetism. The pyramid amplifies this electromagnetic energy. How do we know that? Because we have measured it. On the top of the pyramid, the energy is 50 times stronger than at its base. Secondly, below the pyramid, underground water flow. Water moves, it generates negative ions. The pyramid amplifies the concentration of negative ions. And then we have another water flow below the first one. Between them, the charge is generated, electricity. The pyramid amplifies this electricity. The next one, we are finding a lot of quartz crystal during our archaeological excavation on the pyramid and in underground tunnels. And the quartz crystal has the ability to transform the energy from one form to another, from electromagnetic fields to the ultrasound. And we do measure the ultrasound frequency of 28 kilohertz. And this is the levitation frequency. You feel light when in the tunnels or on the pyramids. And then the next one is the level of orgone or life energy, or in Eastern traditions known as prana or chi. There is an instrument to measure this energy. And on the scale from 0 to 100, our contaminated cities are at 25%, villages 50%, pyramids 100%. So our conclusion, the pyramids are energy machines. What you can use this energy for? On the very top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, we have measured the existence of energy beam, which is 28 kilohertz in frequency, electrical in origin. It's continuous because we've been measuring it during all seasons, spring and summer and fall and winter. And it moves from 4.5 meters or 13 feet radius to 70 feet radius, going back to 1370. These are so-called Tesla's scalar waves. Scalar waves travel much quicker than the speed of light, and they are ideal media to move the energy, to move the information on a very long distances. So our conclusion, the first purpose of the pyramid energy is to be the communication device. The second purpose, we realized when in those underground tunnels, deeper you go, you breathe better and better. Not very logical, but nothing in Bosnia is logical. And people with the respiratory problems, with asthma, once they visit those tunnels, they get back, they don't need inhalators, air pumps for weeks. People with a high blood pressure, it gets normalized after one visit. People with a high glucose or a high sugar in the blood, it reduces for 5 or 6 points. Our conclusion, the second purpose of pyramid energy is to improve our health. The regeneration process starts. And if we got lucky, the rejuvenation process starts. The third purpose of the pyramid energy, we've been discovering some tunnels with the water, and it's been there for thousands of years. When we compare it to our city water or bottled water, this water from the pyramid is so superior. The conventional analysis has shown no viruses, no bacteria, pH is perfect, 7.45, which is the pH of our blood, and it vibrates very high. We sent the samples to the late Dr. Masaru Emoto from Japan, and we could see that the molecular structure is hexagonal, which is the most powerful geometrical shape when it comes to the energy, and it's like quartz crystal, like crystal-like structure. It vibrates high, it's energetically alive, it's a happy water. So the next purpose of the pyramid energy, to improve the molecular structure of the most important liquid in our life, water. Number 4, to improve the food. Number 5, to improve our auric field. Number 6, to get our chakras back in balance and to open them up. Number 7, to improve our spiritual abilities. Number 8, to improve our immunity. Number 9, to improve the atmosphere, and so on. And the beautiful thing is, it is all measurable. If you can measure it, you can scientifically prove it. So this project, from the pure archaeological digging back in 2005 and 2006, have become the multidisciplinary scientific project. And then we moved to another field, energy aspect, and then to another one. This energy affects our spiritual abilities, so spirituality, and then the healing aspect. So only if you approach any pyramid or megalithic sites with those 5 aspects, then you can understand the ancient builders and their wisdom. Very briefly.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Sam. I'm going to pull up his website because obviously there's so much information he has, and it's the website is SEMIROSMANAGIC.com. Another way of looking at it is it's Semi Rosmanagic is his last name.com. There's a lot there. We can learn a lot from him. So, Dr. Sam, I really appreciate you coming all the way from Bosnia, getting up early in the morning, and providing so much wisdom and your dedication to this work. And I imagine that there's been times, given your particular government, that's been very challenging. So, thank you for your courage and your dedication to helping us to understand this truly ancient mystery and history and how it impacts us in current time.
Thank you, guys. And when you come with the new ideas, the cultural establishment always wants to keep the status quo. It's been tough, especially first few years. But when you have scientific arguments, when you believe in your dreams, you're going to get there.
Beautiful. God bless you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sam.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Well.
Ask a question. Can I ask a question, Scott? Of Dr.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
So what is I know that it's 51.51 for the Giza pyramid, and then the 76, I think, for what we call the taller Russian pyramids. And then what is the Bosnian pyramid angle?
In Egypt, there are 155 pyramids, and they are, when it comes to inclination to the angle, they are in the range from 32 to 65 degrees. Nubian pyramids in northern Sudan, about 70 degrees. The Bosnian pyramids, 32 degrees. The Bent pyramid in Egypt, 2 angles, 43 and 54. Why the angles are important? There is an energy flow within the pyramid. Energy moves, hitting 1/3 of the height, going to 2/3, coming back to 1/3, completing the circle. By changing this angle, you change the speed of the energy. You change the frequency. In other words, you can use this energy for different purposes.
The purposes that you mentioned for the Bosnian periods obviously go along with that 32-degree angle.
Exactly. So there are 3 different energy flows when it comes to the pyramids. The first one I just mentioned, the energy flows within the pyramid. And interestingly enough, those 3 chambers in the Great Pyramid of Egypt, and they call them for some reason kings, queens, and unfinished, they all lay on the path of this energy flow. But the second energy flow, I also mentioned it, is the one that goes through the very top, and it can be used as the communication energy. And the third one is the energy that goes off the pyramid on the ground in concentric circles, affecting the agriculture and the whole societies. So what we need is completely new science, the science on pyramids, the pyramid science, that we need a lot of measurements. You mentioned the Russian pyramid. Our colleague, Dr. Alexander Golod, did build 16 pyramids. The one you were referring was the one near Moscow, which unfortunately has been destroyed. Well, that pyramid also has a healing, or it used to have healing abilities, and some others because he was measuring the same thing that we do. So these are just, the ideas that pyramid can affect us on so many different levels. But like I said, different angles, but also different materials and different designs. You have stepped pyramid, you have, true pyramids and so on. Give us different energies, different abilities to heal, to communicate, to improve the water and so on.
Well, thank you very much.
Very welcome.
Does he have a book in English?
Yes, there is another site. It's very easy to remember. It's Books by Dr. Sam, Books by Dr. Sam, booksbydrsam.com. And my 8 recent books can be read for free.
Are they in English?
They are in English, yes. Let me
Oh my
type
God.
it.
Are they just simply
Books
online or are they
by-
also like printed?
This is the site, booksbydrsam.com. They are online, but they can be purchased also.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You're fabulous.
Thanks a lot, guys. You enjoy.
Thank you. Hopefully you'll come on back again.
All right. Okay.
Thanks for
Bye-bye
getting
then.
up so early.
All right, you're welcome.
All right. Well, we are almost done. I'm going to turn it over to Deborah in a moment for her to say goodbye. But I want to thank, in addition to all the people that have been registering for our new season, quite a few people have donated. And I want to thank, there was a beautiful anonymous donation for $500. So thank you very much, whoever you are out there. We really appreciate that. Thank you. I also want to thank Rachel, Jan Ballard, dear friend of ours, Terry Russo. Terry, I notice that you always donate to us, to the nonprofits, to the fire victims. God bless you. Somebody just said home. Of course, always a lot of anonymous donations. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Christy Michaels, our dear friend. And thank you, Judith. So really do appreciate those donations. God bless you. I'm going to give Deborah a chance to say some last words, and then we'll conclude with one last little thought. Take it away, Deborah.
Yeah, again, this was an amazing show. After every show, Scott and I have a phone call and we go, wow. And this again was such incredible information from all the speakers, the musicians, how it wove together. I want to thank again Chareya Dharma, who helped put us all together. She's part of our team. It was her inspiration and her beautiful connecting of most of these speakers. So we love you, Chareya, so much. And it's really a village that put this together. So thank you. And reminding you to come next week when we have a relationship mastery in connection to ourself, source, and others with David Premal and Mitten, Gay and Catherine Hendricks, Pato Baton and Antoinette Roots Darwin Hall, Trish Wright, the Greg Magic Bernstein. We'll have a new magician, Chris Heron. This is going to be a really special show. Again, Scott put this together, so we all have our specialties. And December 19th, inviting you to Winter Solstice, Activating the New World for 2021. Neil Donald Walsh, Starhawk, Mirabai Devi, Elizabeth April, Guinevere Bridge, The Stargate, and other musicians. So join us for the next 2 weeks, another amazing shows.
And just one
Thank you.
last
Love
thing
you
to
so
remind
much.
you. Oh, sorry, Deborah. One last thing to remind you is tomorrow, we're going to do a full hour plus with Michael Feely, going really much deeper into all of his wisdom, all of his knowledge about Atlantis, the pyramids, Jesus, Mary Magdalene, and more. So join us at 10 o'clock Pacific time tomorrow. You can find it on my Facebook page. And in a couple of minutes, I will post the Zoom room link if you want to come directly into the Zoom room. So that's tomorrow at 10 o'clock Pacific time.
What is the website, Scott, for people to sign up for these events?
Globalpeacetribe.com. Globalpeacetribe.com is where people can register for us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tricia. Thank you, Laura, for still being with us and all of your help. Deborah, thank you for being an amazing partner. And thank you, Global Peace Tribe, for watching. You know, there's still 240 people in our Zoom room. You guys are amazing. Hope to see you tomorrow morning. God's blessings. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.